for the varieties of service and skills that make a community, for the many customs of our family, for the many customs of our national heritage. And forgive us that we think that our favorite is your favorite, that you created all, and that as hard as it is for us saying that we love one child more than another, you love all of your creation. We lift up this day our nation, and we lift up our president, a governor, a chairman of commissioners. We pray that you would meet with them in their personal and their governmental needs. Give them wisdom to speak and give decisions that draw us forward for the better angels of our nature. We pray for all in elected office, for those who sit before us here, those in Raleigh and in Washington. And we pray that you would meet with each one of them, that their lives would be good for us all. We pray for those who serve us. We remember people, those in the armed services, and particularly those in harm's way in different parts of the world. And we pray for their families who wait for them, and those who grieve their injuries and their deaths. We lift up the people among us with whom we live and work and play. We give you thanks for those who visit us in this season of the year, and many who have been coming year on year. We lift up families who have lived here for generations, and those who have recently moved to call Dare County home. We lift up children just beginning to crawl and walk, beloved grandchildren. We also lift up the aged among us, the source of wisdom and encouragement. We lift up those who serve us in government, in law enforcement, in the agencies represented here this day, and particularly those who receive certificates of commendation and service. We also pray for those who travel each day from other counties to come and serve us, stocking shelves, waiting on tables, tending bar, and serving the public. We thank you, O God, that your wisdom and your love expands far beyond what we can imagine and even speak of now. But we praise you that you are much greater than we are, and that your ways are not our ways. We thank you for the wisdom of the aged, that we hear right now of the ages, and that we hear now of the beloved Psalms of who you tell us you are. Arise, O Lord, lift up thy hand. Forget not the afflicted. O Lord, thou wilt hear the cry of the weak. Thou wilt strengthen their heart. Thou wilt incline thy ear. Do justice to the fatherless and the oppressed, so that humans who are of the earth may strike terror no more. Lord, weigh us in the balances of your mercy, but help us that we would ask that you weigh others in the same balance, that we would be weighed. This is our prayer, O God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. May we stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank the following folks for being with us this morning. We have our Dare County Board of Education Chairman, David Twitty's here with us this morning. David, thank you for being here. We also have the Vice Chair, Ron Payne. Ron, thank you. And we also have Board Member Justin Bateman. Thank you all for being here this morning. I will turn the meeting back over to County Manager.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Item 1 on our agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Okay, just have a couple of things this morning. As normal, I love to start with a little humor. I heard about this kindergarten teacher that she was having an art session in the class one morning. And while she was doing that, she was walking around the classroom and she was looking at her children, drawing pictures. And she noticed this one little girl was drawing so intently, she walked over to her and asked her what she was drawing. And of course, the little girl said she was drawing a picture of God. And the teacher kind of laughed a little bit and she said, "Oh, honey, nobody really knows what God looks like." This little girl, without missing a beat, said, "They will in a minute." I know you've all been watching intently about our beach nourishment program, and Avon and Hatteras and Avon Netted. Avon's complete. They've moved on to Buxton, and on July 31st, the first day of work began in Buxton, and it's unbelievable how fast Great Lakes has moved. If you've seen recent pictures in a newsletter we just put out, they're just moving at unbelievable pace. I just wanted to share a couple of key items about that, what's happening in Buxton. They've had the Hopper Dredge, Liberty Island is here, and they've mobilized. They're going to mobilize approximately 2 million cubic yards of beach along about 1,500 and 15,500 feet. That's 2.9 miles of shoreline between Hallover, Day Use area and the end of Old Lighthouse Road. And they're right now moving with lightning speed. Nourishment is coming from a bar pit located about 2 or 3 miles offshore. And the construction activities typically will affect individual oceanfront properties for approximately about 2 to 3 days, with crews advancing about 200 to 300 feet per day. And once the work moves beyond that section, the beaches generally reopen within a 24-hour period. So I'm told that about mid-August, Great Lakes will have a second dredge here. So this project will really, really move fast. And if you've seen some photos online, it's just incredible the amount of work that Great Lakes is doing. And we're grateful to have them as a partner to do the nourishment program for us. The last thing I'd like to talk to you about or present, I want to present a certificate of appreciation this morning. I want to recognize one of Dare County's own. Now, when I say this gentleman has only been on the job for 2 months. So it tells you the incredible personnel that we have on that work for us in Dare County, as well as the incredible people that we hire. And this is Matt Kellum with the Public Works Department, and he serves as an equipment operator at the CD landfill in Mans Harbor. He came on board May the 26th, been on board 2 months. This is the kind of people we hire and the kind of people that work for Dare County that's totally incredible. I received an email from Commissioner Burris via Kenny Meekins, who wanted to make us aware of Matt's extraordinary action while at the beach in Nags Head on July the 11th. According to Mr. Meekins, Matt was spending the day with his wife, Haley, and their 2 children when a woman approached them for help after her 3 children became caught in a rip current with no lifeguard immediately nearby. Matt didn't hesitate for 1 minute. With Haley's assistance, bringing him a boogie board to aid in the rescue, Matt safely brought all 3 children back to shore. Mr. Meekins shared that about his rescue, and Matt and Haley showed incredible courage and selflessness, placing the safety of others above their own that day. Mr. Meekins wrote that Matt and Haley would never mention it to anyone themselves, and that he felt it was important that Dare County to know about their actions. He also shared that Dare County should be proud to have young adults like Matt and Haley in our community, which we very well are. Matt, on behalf of the Dare County Board of Commissioners, thank you for your bravery, your quick thinking, your willingness to help others in a moment of need. Your actions exemplify the very best of our community, and we're honored to present you with a certificate of appreciation and recognition of your heroic actions. You're an outstanding example of public service. So if you'll meet me down front, I'll present this certificate to you. You take care of the landfill as good as you take care of our citizens. I know you do. This is incredible, folks. Two months on the job. This is the kind of human beings and people that we hire to work for us in Dare County. I could not be more grateful and thankful to you, Matt, for what you do. This is really, really awesome. This is a certificate of appreciation, Matt, and it says in grateful recognition of your exemplary courage, selflessness, heroic actions in rescuing 3 children caught in a rip current off the beach in Nags Head on July the 11th, 2026. The Dare County Board of Commissioners salute you for your exceptional character, courage, and willingness to place the well-being of others above your own. Your heroic actions exemplify the highest ideals of public service and reflect the compassion, integrity, and dedication that defines the very best of the values that strengthen our community. Congratulations to you.
Appreciate it.
Let's get one with his wife. Let's get one with his wife. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. Okay, County Manager, I will turn the meeting back over to you.
And that brings us to item 2 on the agenda. This is our service pins. Each month, we recognize people for their years of service. Today, we had 90 years of service on here. One of our people couldn't be here, so we got 80 years of service that we're going to recognize this morning. And we'll start, if Robert Preston would come forward to receive his 10-year pin from Josh Coltrane.
Welcome this morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager. Today I'm privileged to present Robert Preston with his 10-year service pin. A little about Robert. He's a local from Dare County, grew up in Nags Head, graduate of Manual High School. Robert's an avid surf fisherman, likes to surf. Most weekends, you'll find him at the beach, hanging out with his kids. Loves to fish for drum. Speaking of his kids, him and his wife Angela have 2 kids. His son Sean's incoming freshman at First Flight High School, and his daughter Anya is going to be an incoming freshman at UNCW this fall. I know he's got a lot of emotions there. He's kind of anxious, excited, kind of all the above there when you take your oldest off to college. Prior to working with Dare County, Robert worked in the oil industry. He worked on the boats off the Gulf Coast, and he's got some great stories there. It's kind of like the old Clint Eastwood movie. You got the good, the bad, and the ugly, and he's got stories about all of it. So if you ever see him out sometime, ask him about those, because he's got some really good stories, and we shared some great laughs about that. Prior to joining when he joined EH, he worked primarily with our food and lodging program, inspecting the restaurants and motels. He's obtained 5 different authorizations. He can inspect schools and child care centers, tattoo establishments, commercial swimming pools, and also on-site wastewater. And this is kind of where he spends most of his time now, working with our large engineered advanced pretreatment systems. He's had a leading role dealing with the washouts on Hatteras Island. He has weekly contact with the Park Service, make sure we stay on top of any new issues there. He's kind of been my right-hand man. Anything I asked him to do, I know he's going to take care of it, and I don't have to worry about it. It takes a lot of pressure off of me. And it's been a great 10 years. I look forward to the next 10. Thank you, Robert. You're a tremendous asset to environmental health in Dare County. Congratulations. Thank you.
Next, if Marge Stauffer would come forward to receive her tenure pin from Stacy Ambrose.
Welcome this morning.
Thank you for having us. I'm happy to recognize Marge for her 10-year pin. She's a finance officer for the airport. She's the kind of employee that everybody would love to have. She's quarter till every morning, beats me to work, always in a good mood, treats everybody with a smile, sees everybody with a smile on her face. A little bit about Marge. She oversees 9 grants that we have, working with the FAA and NCDOT. She's the clerk to the airport authority. She collects monthly billing, 55 hangars, 40 trailers, so a lot going on there. She's completed several classes at UNC School of Government and Finance. Pending a upcoming exam, she'll be the certified board officer. And one thing the airport has out there is we've got a cemetery that a lot of people don't know about. And she has to sell plots, crypts, niches to people that come in at a time when it's a tough time for people. So she does really well with that. And she treats them with compassion and respect. And she's got a positive attitude. Her commitment's made a lasting impact over the last decade. She's not only a great employee, but she's a good friend. And I'd like to thank Marge for everything she's done at the airport for the last 10 years. That's it. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Next, if Chuck Albright would come forward to receive his tenure pin from Jenny Collins.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Chuck Albright here, who is a paramedic with us. Chuck, very much like, I'll just, because I'm included in that generation, started in EMS because of the show Emergency. That started his interest in it. He was in Illinois at the time. He actually got into a cadet program that you could get into at the age of 16. He got his EMT. Actually, he and I share the same year that we got our EMT, which is 1982. He went on to get his paramedic in 87 and became a flight flight medic with Air Evac Life Team from the years of 1994 to 2004. And then he had several jobs. I know that when he moved to North Carolina and when we interviewed him, he was working in a hematology lab. And so he's been with us for 10 years now, and he's also one of our field training officers that we pair new paramedics with and as they learn to cut their teeth on the street. So he has a total of over 44 years within EMS, which is very unusual that you still find people that with that amount of time. His off-duty interest, he does like to travel a lot. They have a 45-foot motorhome that they do. But Chuck has many EMS folks. I'm waiting for him to form a EMS band. He is a musician. He's a drummer. And he was with a group, you can Google him, look at 2015 of the band called the Killer Pimps. You will find them. They're a great cover band for the 80s and 90s music, and Chuck is on the drums. So Chuck, thank you for 10 years of service with us, and look forward to many more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, if Dustin Resmus would come forward to receive his 20-year pin from Jessica King.
Welcome this morning.
Good morning. This morning, I have the pleasure of presenting Dustin with his 20-year pin. Dustin is the South Distribution Field Supervisor for the Dare County Water Department. When Dustin took over as the supervisor and we started to work more closely together, it was a breath of fresh air. He took over a division that needed a lot of attention. Not only did he give the job the attention that it deserved, he was also a pleasure to work with while doing it. He can always be counted on to be professional and courteous, and he has gained the respect of his employees, and he's also gained many compliments from the community. One of these reasons are also why he received Employee of the Month last fall. Dustin's immediate supervisor has said, "Dustin is a huge asset to me. He took over the system down south, and I haven't had to worry about it. He gets it done. He keeps his staff happy and work gets completed." A good example of how hard he works is Old Lighthouse Road in Buxton. With all of the storms that knocked out water mains, he would get them repaired almost instantly, only to have another storm come through a week later and knock it out again. There were only a few houses that remained out of service for longer than a day. I have confidence in his knowledge of the entire system. Congratulations, Dustin, on 20 years, and I look forward to as many more as I can get. Thank you.
And then finally, if Pam Midget would come forward to receive her 30-year pin from Matt Hester.
Welcome this morning.
Commissioners. This is Pam Midget. She is my admin assistant in the IT department, but that really doesn't, cover everything that she does for us. From helping us reset passwords to get people straight on their computers to picking up the slack and things that fall through the cracks on a daily basis, Pam is like my right-hand person to and go-to for things that just, kind of get done without me asking. And I can't be more appreciative of that. One of the things that she does that probably nobody knows about is the addresses in the county. So she's responsible for assigning addresses on all of unincorporated Dare, which includes, the unincorporated towns and Hatteras Island. So if you ever need an address question, she's your person, because I do not understand how it works at all. She's kindly explained it to me 3 or 4 times, and I still don't know how it works, but she's got it down, and that's all that matters to me. So Pam, congratulations on your 30 years, and thank you so much.
Now, brings us to our employee of the month. We have two. We have our July employee this month now, and then we'll do our August one. For our July employee of the month, if Gordon Price would come forward to make that presentation.
Morgan, you come up here with me if you would, please.
Welcome, guys.
He didn't know anything about this. So it's an honor to be here to present this award to a well-deserving person. I've known Morgan most of my adult life. We actually worked together a long time ago on construction jobs when I was working for my dad, and we were building houses and he was wiring them up. He's always been a hard and dependable worker. In his nomination, they stated that they submit a lot of work orders, and it seems like that Morgan shows up for a big portion of them. And I'd say there's a lot of people that probably feel the same way in different departments around. He never complains. When I really pile the work orders on him to a point that I feel like I need to apologize, he tells me there ain't no problem, keep them coming. He really brings a lot to the table. He's an electrician. However, he'll jump in and help with anything else that our department's responsible for, from concrete, helping Matt with his IT jobs, appliances, plumbing, pretty much anywhere else that he's needed, he jumps in and never complains. He makes the most out of each day, pushing the time clock to the limits. A lot of times when I'm ready to leave at 5, I find myself sitting waiting for him to show up because he's trying to finish that last job. Never complains about sacrificing his time. He's very resourceful when it comes to old and obsolete, hard to find parts. He sticks with his jobs and does whatever he does to get it done. He's a very hard worker and a great asset to our team. We're lucky to have him. Thank you, Morgan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And our employee of the month for August will be presented by Mandy Ferguson.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman, County Manager. How are you? Anna, can you come up? So despite efforts to try and surprise Anna with her family, as you may know, it is very challenging to surprise an elementary school nurse. So, Anna was aware that she was being awarded this morning, but I would like to tell you a little bit about her. So this morning, I have the honor of recognizing our August Employee of the Month and sharing a little about her. Anna Miller began her career with the county April of 2017, and she's been a valued member of our team for the past 9 years. When I joined the team, Anna was one of the very first people to reach out to welcome me, and she has never stopped. This is just who she is. More importantly, she didn't just do that for me, she does it for every new team member who joins our team. Throughout her time with the county, Anna has consistently demonstrated kindness, dedication, and unwavering commitment to both her students and her colleagues. In addition to the care she provides for her own students, Anna is also a mentor to many of our elementary school nurses, helping them with their own classroom education. Anna has stepped up to lead in many areas and often is the first to volunteer when something needs to be done. For example, if we ever need a county car moved from Hatters to Manteo or Manteo to Hatters, Anna usually is the first to raise her hand to volunteer, often saying, "I was gonna head that way anyway, no worries." I don't in fact think she was ever headed that way. The simple statement just perfectly captures her willingness to help out without expecting anything in return. One of her colleagues shared these words, "Anna has been an incredible lifeline since I started. She's a dependable team member who continually shows kindness and a positive attitude. She's always willing to answer questions and assist others while showing up every day for the kids at her school." Anna, thank you for the care that you showed to your students, the encouragement you give to your coworkers, and the positive example you set every day. Your dedication doesn't go unnoticed, and we're really fortunate to have you as part of our team. Congrats on being named August Employee of the Month. This recognition is well deserved.
Before we go to public comment, those of you that received an award or recognition this morning, please go out through this door so that Caitlin can get a picture.
He's walking out. I don't know if she meant to sign out. He's a service man. These are the two individuals from right side. So I don't think
You can ask him.
and then that's the people for Brightspeed presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for public comment. If you have public comment this morning, raise your hand. I'll recognize you. When I do, please come to the podium, state your name and where you're from. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. There's a green light on the podium that'll come on when you begin. There's a yellow light that'll come on when you have about a minute left. And when the red light comes on, you need to conclude your remarks. I do have a sign-up sheet, and the first person I have is Michael Roberts. Michael Roberts here. I'm sorry? You're with Brightspeed. Okay, that's fine. How about Charles is it Albright?
He was awarded his 10-year
Okay. All right. Nicole Hassel-Wade.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. Mr. Chairman, before I begin, I want to share something very personal. I had the great privilege of taking care of your sweet mother years ago. What I have to share today concerns not only the murder of my son, but my family's treatment as crime victims and matters of public safety that I believe are important to every citizen of Dare County. I have called Dare County my home for over 20 years, and I am so very proud to stand before you and say that I am the mother of St. Thomas Hughes. This past year has tested me in ways that I never believed possible. It has also forced me to take an honest look at my own words and actions. Last year in my grief, I publicly called for the resignation of several people of public trust. Today, I stand before you to acknowledge that one of those individuals should have never been included in my criticisms. That person is our Sheriff, Doug Doughty. Sheriff Doughty has shown a level of integrity, forgiveness, compassion, and empathy that cannot be matched. I pray that the district attorney and his office and the Kildova Hills Police Department learn something from the example he has set. Sheriff Doughty has embodied the values of professionalism, transparency, and respect. I've learned that real character isn't revealed when people praise you, it's revealed when they're angry with you. Sheriff Doughty met my grief with understanding. When I later approached him with a youth safety initiative that I had been working on, he didn't hold my past words against me. He listened with an open mind, offered his support, and treated me with a kindness that I had not yet earned. I have always believed that when you're wrong, you own it, and I was wrong. I'm sorry doesn't erase the words that I spoke or the hurt that I may have caused. but I hope it reflects the respect and gratitude that I have for Sheriff Dowdy. I would like to thank him for his grace, leadership, and service to this community. Dare County has been blessed to have him, and his retirement will leave a holster that most could not wear or be filled. He will be truly missed. Over the past decade, I have had the honor of serving this community as a certified nursing assistant. My career has allowed me to know Dare County in a way that few people ever will. I've learned so much from being a caregiver here, like how to overcome storms that seem endless, and also how not to judge others and have forgiveness for things that most people would not. By no means am I a saint, and I will never claim to be, but I am only human. My greatest accomplishment in this life is being the mother to the 4 most extraordinary children that God could create. I am blessed beyond measure. It has been 1 year since Zane was called home by our Lord. 1 year that my family has had to live without his laugh, love, and light. 1 year that I have had to watch my children and my husband feel pain that they should have never had to experience. And 1 year that Dare County has had the privilege of carrying the name of one of its newest legends. I come before you today to inform each of you, as commissioners entrusted with serving the people of Dare County, of the extraordinary obstacles and injustices that my family has endured. I also come to bring to your attention what I believe are continuous crime victims' rights violations and serious public safety concerns that deserve this board's immediate attention. Yesterday, the first part of a docuseries was released. In no way was it released to make Dare County look bad. It was not made to seek sympathy, attention, or revenge. It was created to document my family's journey to preserve the truth and to shine light on problems that cannot be fixed if no one is willing to acknowledge them. Contrary to popular belief, I've always maintained a profound respect for the rule of law because I believe no one is above it and no one should be beneath its protections. North Carolina law recognizes me and my family as victims of a violent crime and promises us specific rights and protections. Those rights were supposed to provide dignity, information, participation, and a measure of justice. Instead, my rights as a crime victim have been repeatedly and, in my view, egregiously violated by the very people entrusted to uphold and enforce them. Since Zane was murdered, my family and I have had to fight for rights that the law already guarantees crime victims, while also fighting to uncover true facts about what happened from the Kill Devil Hills Police Department and our district attorney's office. On the day of my son's murder, Assistant Police Chief Harris announced during a press conference that a weapon was found. As that statement was presented, it left the public with the impression that the murder weapon had been recovered. To this day, that it has not. That distinction mattered, and failing to make it clear created confusion for both my family and the community. I would like everyone to know that this is not sensitive information, and it was only disclosed to the public after Kill Devil Hills Police Department knew that I was aware of this fact. A district attorney's duty is to uphold the law and protect victims' rights. Instead, I received missed notifications, unanswered emails, and was never notified of one suspect's bond reduction hearing, denying me the opportunity to be present and heard. Since his release, my family and I have unexpectedly encountered him twice. I should not have to worry about grocery shopping with someone who is charged with first-degree murder, especially murdering my son. I would also like to inform this board that the Kill Devil Hills Police Department and the District Attorney's Office were well aware of allegations involving the manufacturing or possession of illegal firearms by Mr. Hargis, including illegal conversion devices, long before my son's murder. Those circumstances raised serious questions about whether opportunities existed to intervene before Zane was killed and whether those opportunities were missed. Public safety is not measured by how we respond after tragedy. It is measured by our willingness to recognize warning signs, intervene when the law allows, provide meaningful mental health resources, and protect our communities and also victims before and after violence occurs. I wish I had the time to share all of the evidence that I have uncovered since last year. But I hope you will leave here knowing this. The information I have reviewed raises serious concerns that illegal firearms and conversion devices are a much larger problem in Dare County and the surrounding areas than anyone could imagine. My final request is simple. Conduct an independent review of the issues I have raised today, the prevalence of the illegal firearms here in Dare County, the availability of mental health resources, the administration of crime victims' rights, and whether a certain police department and our juvenile justice system and the district attorney's office are protecting and serving our community. These issues deserve careful scrutiny and meaningful action. Zane always said, always try to do better than the day you did before. I ask each of you to join me in living by those words. Together we can build a safer Dare County because our children and our community deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak at public comment this morning? Any public comment from Buxton? No public. With that, Mr. Chairman, we close the public comment and.
All right, Bob, before we move to the next item, overlook two individuals that are here with us today, and that is School Board Superintendent Steve Bass-Knight. Steve, thank you for being here. And also Sheriff-elect Rawls, thank you for being here this morning as well. Thank you, Bobby.
All right, that brings us to item 5 on the agenda. This is a presentation from Brightspeed. Steve Brewer's here at our request. As you recall, we had some discussions at our last meeting, and we invited him to come, and he's agreed to be here. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you, Steve, and your team. And
Mr. Brower, thank you for being here this
Good morning. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Steve Brewer. I am Director of Governmental Affairs for Brightspeed. Joining me today are Heather Hallmark, Manager of Regional Operations, Mike Roberts, Supervisor of Regional Operations, and Shannon Flaherty, Government Affairs and Community Relations Manager. I was asked to come here and speak with you today regarding a recent outage that occurred in this community, and then to provide some information on what we're doing to enhance our network here in Dare County. But before discussing the technical details of the recent outage, I wanted to start by acknowledging the impact they had on the Dare County community. We understand that reliable communication service is not a convenience, it's essential infrastructure. Residents depend on it to stay connected with family and friends. Businesses depend on it to conduct their businesses, and of course, public safety depend on it when people are in need. We know the July 5th outage created real challenges, particularly for local businesses during one of the busiest weekends of the year. We heard those concerns and understand the frustration that residents and business owners who were unable to communicate and do business. While the initial failure occurred within the long-haul transport network operated by one of Brightspeed's third-party providers, our customers experienced it as a Brightspeed outage. We take that responsibility seriously, and we're committed to learning from the event and continuing to strengthen the network here in Dare County. So what exactly happened? The outage was ultimately traced to a failure with the long-haul transport network operated by one of Brightspeed's third-party providers. The failure involved equipment responsible for managing communications traffic across the network. While the physical fiber itself remained intact, the equipment responsible for directing traffic across the network failed. And then the company also lost communication with that equipment that failed. Once it was determined that the original transport equipment could not be recovered, our third-party provider migrated traffic to alternative equipment, and services were restored on July 7th at approximately 7:50 p.m. Brightspeed and third-party provider are conducting a comprehensive review of the occurrence to identify opportunities to improve monitoring, fault isolation, and restoration procedures. Again, this was an extraordinarily unusual event. Heather, who I introduced earlier, has been on the operations side of the business for over 28 years and has never experienced an outage of this type before. So it's an extraordinarily unusual event. On July 28th, I wanted to also acknowledge an interruption that occurred due to a fiber cut in the vicinity of our Waves, North Carolina Central office that lasted approximately 9 hours. That outage again had a different cause, and that was an actual fiber cut. The fiber cut was caused by a contractor, and it disrupted communication services to the south of the cut, down the Outer Banks and into Ocracoke. Although the cause of these two outages were different, we recognize that customers experienced the same outcome, which was a loss of service. This particular event also reinforces the importance of creating redundant transport. Had the proposed submarine connection between Ocracoke and the mainland that I have spoken to this body before about, had that been in place, communication services could have been rerouted, substantially reducing or eliminating the service interruption. Many customers, in fact, would likely not have realized it at all. So those are the two outages that have recently occurred. And again, I was asked to also speak about what we are doing to enhance the network here in this county. But before I move to that point, I wanted to see if there are any questions regarding the outage.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, excuse me. When someone cuts a fiber, like an independent contractor, is there a fine that's levied against that individual?
That varies. So the state of North Carolina does have an underground prevention process. So, and then as part of that process, and I don't know it intimately, but as part of that process, there is a review board that can assess fines. That board reviews were the locates done correctly, were the markings still in place, did the excavator use due care. There's a number of things that they evaluate, but yes, there can indeed be fines.
Because you know that's not an isolated thing that happens.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Understood. So one thing, there's a lot going on really across our nation with excavation. Funds from the American Rescue Plan through water sewer enhancements, fiber enhancement, other utility enhancements are causing a great deal of underground excavation. And with that, it's certainly a challenge for all providers. And the way the law works in North Carolina is the facility owner. So in our case, we would be a network or fiber owner. We are responsible for marking the equipment or marking the facilities that are underground. If it's a water sewer company, they're responsible for marking their own facilities. And sometimes, you know, those markings are incorrect and damages can occur because of that. Sometimes an excavator does not take due care and damages can happen because of that. In this particular area, there is a large transport fiber that runs down the Outer Banks, and there's not a redundant path. It essentially ends in Ocracoke Island. If that is interrupted, if that transport fiber is interrupted, then anything south of that cut becomes isolated. Now, you may incur smaller cuts throughout the community that don't have that significant of an impact. Certainly to the customers that have been interrupted, it's significant to them. I don't want to discount that, but it might only cut off service to a small segment or a neighborhood perhaps. So, but I do agree with you. There are more cuts across all utility industries right now than anyone would like to have. But there is a tremendous amount of investment going in the ground, and that's part of it.
To follow up on Commissioner Bateman's, and I had the same question. With all that being said, nothing's being done to I mean, whose responsibility is it to contact the contractor that cut the line And I mean, we never see anything done to the contract. Nothing ever happens. Whose responsibility is it to call them on the carpet? That's the problem.
Well,
And until we do that, we're going to continue to have cuts, and they're not going to have due diligence enough to have respect for where the lines are marked or where they cut or whatever. We're going to continue to have these cuts until somebody's called on the carpet.
we do have contact with contractors who damage our network, and there is this underground damage review board that I mentioned to you earlier. They meet, I believe it's on a monthly basis, and if complaints are filed against a particular provider or a excavator, they have the ability to assess fines.
Was
Don't
the
you-
excavator in this case fined or penalized in any way?
So the most recent event that took place on July 28th was the one related to a cut. The one that took place on July 5th had absolutely
No.
nothing to do with the fiber cut.
Right.
When they cut the fiber, don't you have the ability to fine them for the repair?
Steve, I can take that if you want. Yeah, so.
Come on up. Come on up.
Anytime a contractor cuts our fiber, we have technicians on site, take photos, especially if the marks for the utilities were not there, right? That's number one. Or if they were there and they did not practice due diligence and they cut it anyway. They dug where they weren't supposed to. So we fill out damage claims internally at Brightspeed. And we, in turn, with all of that, we send that contractor a bill. They have to pay for everything. The fees, the hourly wages for our technicians. It can be exorbitant. And, to the
How often
range
do
of.
you do that?
Pardon?
I said, how often do you how often do you bill
Every
them?
single time we have a cut.
Do they pay it?
Yes, we have a work group at Verizon that collects the money. Yeah, they're required to. And then in some instances, depending on the contractor, say they were doing work for us and they dug when they were not supposed to, and it was their error, we can replace them, right? If they're ours. But a lot of our cuts are not caused, by a Brightspeed contractor. They might be caused by somebody else digging. So they are financially held accountable.
So
Interesting.
I'm sorry. So, since the company was Carolina Telephone, CenturyLink, now Brightspeed, we grew up, everybody in this room, everybody in Dare County grew up with the Richard Johnsons of the world. You see them at 7-Eleven, my internet's down, come by and help me. You call up, you go by the place, your local Carolina Telephone dealer gets somebody and they come fix it. Now we got to call someone over in another country that does not understand proper English, that I have a hard time communicating with. Not any fault of theirs, but that's the fact, correct?
We actually just brought our repair centers back on shore.
Well, that's fantastic news. That's great news. But back to the point, it was not like that in the past, whatever. The communication was not there. So the user-friendly thing of the old company is not there anymore. There's no hometown stuff. So each individual that experienced these outages, and I can go down the list this weekend when it went out, what our agenda was. I got a call, for instance, from Robin Amy, and she had to go down to Avon Volunteer Fire Department to do her business on the 28th because of the fact she had no internet service at all. I got a call from Corey Hemmerwright. Issues going on with his telephone, could not talk to anybody. Beeman Hines has 5 restaurants. They could not do to-go orders for 5 days. I have a restaurant. I had 5 days. Last year, my internet went down at the restaurant. I lost $25,000. Now, I'm nobody, but I lost that money that I cannot ever get back. I had to call your call center. They told me it'd be Tuesday before they had a technician out. Fortunately, I knew someone in Elizabeth City who came down on Sunday and fixed it for me. And then unfortunately for y'all, I switched my service on the following Monday because I couldn't wait till Tuesday. So the user-friendly thing, that the hometown atmosphere is gone from Brightspeed, and I'm concerned about that, especially since we just got, federal government gave you all $334.6 million to do expansion on broadband, and I get something in the mail every week that says I need to switch to Brightspeed. You have no infrastructure to back up all this expansion of business you guys have.
I will let Steve
I appreciate y'all
address.
coming down here.
Yeah.
I really do, but there's so many people in Dare County that have been affected. It's just not just one isolated instance. This happens all the time to everybody. Bee Bass Night called me up this weekend. She had somebody come to her house. She did not have internet. She called Brightspeed. They told her, well, if you switch to fiber optic and new system here, you will not have any more problems. She said, I really don't want to do it. I just want to be able to talk on my telephone. You've got to do that in order for your phone to work. So they came out, they marked, the individual showed up, had no ID, nothing on his truck, no identification, could not speak any English at all, and was cutting in the wrong place. She said, stop, stop, stop. He didn't understand. He called an interpreter who called back, some guy named Pedro, called back and talked to her on the phone. She said, stop it right now. I do not want you to do anything.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I know, it is a
So
problem.
If you could provide her information, name, contact, we'll handle it. As far as local, Mike Roberts, who is the supervisor, he is local. He lives in Manio. So we do have management local within the community. And then Wesley Locklear, I don't know if anybody worked with him in the past. He was the previous field supervisor. He is still with Brightspeed, handling damage claims, believe it or not. And he lives in Collington in Kill Devil Hills. So we do have local people along with our technicians, most of which have been in this community for years. And they really do care about the network and the services we provide. So, all I can say is I apologize. Now, if you get, for example, she got a Tuesday, I'm assuming she called in maybe on a Friday, or you,
Friday
if you, you always have the ability to escalate for sooner due dates. I can leave my information with you for the board. And if you have people that call, have issues, Steve's always available. I'm available, and so is Mike, and he's local.
And I appreciate that. And I'm not trying to be hard on you, but I want you to understand the gravity of what you're facing as a company.
Yes, sir.
And in your expansion down here, because we're just average people. We just want to be able to pick up the phone and it works, hit the computer, it comes on. We do our business.
We understand.
I understand completely and understand your frustration there. And insofar as what we are doing to enhance the network in this area, to date, we have passed approximately 22,000 addresses in the county with fiber. Approximately 16,500 of those addresses are open for sale, meaning the customers can subscribe to service today. By the end of next year, we expect that number to be at approximately 37,000. Fiber services are far more reliable than the legacy copper network. Certainly we find ourselves right now in a balancing act where we are managing both the legacy copper network and the fiber network, and that creates some of its own operational complexities. But ultimately, the legacy copper network is going to be replaced by fiber. And that is happening across the country, not just with Brightspeed. Our goal is to have pretty much a fiber-only network by approximately 2031. And of course, the copper will be gone from certain areas of our network sooner than others. But again, we are moving rapidly to replace all of the copper in our network with fiber. It's far more reliable, provides a much better customer experience.
With all due respect, that fiber means nothing if you don't have a loop on Hatteras Island.
I'm going to talk about that.
I mean, we've been talking about the loop for over 10 years.
I agree with you. We have another initiative that we've taken was in early 2025. Brightspeed relocated transport fiber from the ocean side of Highway 12 to the sound side of Highway 12.
Why didn't you put it, why can it not go up on the electric poles? Because we're going to continue to have road work.
we are not allowed to put it on the electric bus. We did reach out to the electric provider in that area, and that was not a possibility. I personally had a conversation with the electric provider, and that was just simply not a possibility. When the fiber was initially placed in the ground, it was placed at 6 feet. Through the shifting sands, that fiber became exposed over time. So we relocated the fiber from the ocean side and the Pea Island area to the sound side. Since we've done that, we've not experienced a cut of that transport fiber in that area, which was originally plagued by cuts.
Which is why we need the loop.
And I'm about to talk about the loop right now.
Like 10
So-
years now, we've been talking about the loop.
The single most important improvement that can be made is the inclusion of a fiber loop along the Outer Banks. And that would entail connecting a submarine cable from Ocracoke Island over to the mainland. We have been working with the North Carolina General Assembly. I personally have been lobbying the issue for 4 to 5 years. And as you know, over the past few years, the General Assembly did not pass a budget for reasons unrelated to this issue. We also applied for a federal grant, and we had a really robust grant application there. And quite frankly, the federal program ran out of funds before they got to us. I am delighted to report that in the 2026 budget that the North Carolina General Assembly just passed and Governor Stein signed into law, there are funds in that program, or there are funds in that budget to fund a project exactly like this one. So in that regard, we look forward to working. North Carolina Department of Information Technology is the administrator of the grant program. So we look forward to working with them and making that a reality.
Have you been awarded the grant?
No, they have not. They have not yet stood up the program, but the funds are in place.
Do you know how much it's going to cost to do it?
Yes, it's going to be somewhere in the $15 million range.
And your company can't sustain a $15 million to have more customers?
Well, the actual closing of the fiber loop is unlikely to have there's no way to recoup that expense. It's not like we're going to be able to charge fees to other providers or companies to ride along that fiber. So it's about a $15 million expense. We will be making an investment there, but those funds would never be recoverable.
If all goes as planned, how long before that would be in place?
That's a good question. And with the permitting associated with it, I really don't, I would be speculating at this point.
Well, speculate a little bit for us, just to give us an idea.
I would say I would assume with the permitting, it would take a minimum of 2 years. But you can't hold me to that because I am not a submarine cable expert. To my knowledge,
We're 3 or more years likely away from that, probably.
again, I would be speculating. But that is a huge milestone in getting those funds placed in the budget.
Well, I have a question about that. Does the state earmark where that money goes if you do get awarded the grant, or does Brightspeed decide where they're going to spend the money?
So there will be an application process, and in the application process, you would have to identify exactly how the money would be spent.
Okay, because I know that the state is obviously very focused on infrastructure in the western part of the state currently. That's where most of our highway budget, most of everything's gone since Hurricane Helene. Even if you get the money, is there a guarantee that you could even be able to use it on Hatteras Island?
Yeah, again, as part of the application process, you will have to specify exactly how the funds would be used.
So you're going to write a grant specifically asking for money for Hatteras Island. Is that what you're telling me today?
Well, it wouldn't be for Hatteras Island. It would be to close the fiber loop from Ocracoke over to the mainland.
Okay.
There is a small section of submarine cable that goes from Hatteras to Ocracoke. So there's connectivity all the way down, or there's fiber running all the way down to Ocracoke. But what you need to do is close the fiber loop from Ocracoke over to the mainland. when that happens, so if that transport fiber were cut somewhere along the Outer Banks today, anything south of that cut becomes isolated.
Yes.
But if you've got the loop closed, you just simply reroute the traffic
I
along the
understand.
loop. And again, most customers wouldn't even notice an outage.
Yeah.
Now, if there were two cuts at the same time, I want to be clear, if there are two cuts at the same time, the segment that is in the middle of the two cuts, that one would become isolated, but that's very, very uncommon. And
Do you have service in Harkers Island?
I do believe we provide service in Harkers Island.
Then why can't you just come up Portsmouth Island and loop into Ocracoke? It'd be a lot cheaper.
Why can't we do what now?
Come right up Portsmouth Island and then lock into
Yeah,
Ocracoke. That'd be a lot cheaper.
I would have to, I don't know the answer to that. When we were evaluating the most efficient route a few years ago when we applied for the federal grant, I believe the route was Ocracoke to Cedar. That was identified and it may be where fiber exists that would be connected to the submarine cable. That may have a significant role, but I'm sorry, I don't know enough detail about the network there to be able to answer that question.
Steve, you don't have anything in Harkers Island.
We do not serve Harkers.
Okay. All right.
How about quick action response teams? How many technical people do you have on the ground here? I know obviously this gentleman here is here.
Yes, sir. We have 12 technicians on the field operations team. That doesn't include personnel involved.
Mike, come up here.
Yeah.
Good morning. So we have 12 technicians on our field operations team. That doesn't include anybody assigned to deploying new fiber or to, the contractor strength. But Brightspeed field service technicians, there's 12 out here.
Those 12 technicians, say there's a fiber cut under the ground like the one we had on the 28th.
Yes, sir.
Is your team responsible for fixing that cut?
Yes, we did fix the one from last week. So usually the way that starts is we'll get an alarm in the central office, and then I deploy my central office technicians as well as our cable maintenance team immediately. And their task when they get there is to first try to isolate exactly where the cut is. And depending on the circumstances, sometimes that can be very difficult. We had some difficulty last week, but then when we eventually were able to find it, that's when, we excavate the cable up, and then we put in the new temporary cable and splice it in there.
Yeah, I understand the splice, but your team, you don't have to wait for somebody to come from another state or another area to come help you or provide you. You have all those splicing tools available here?
Correct. Sometimes we might have a situation where we'll have multiple cuts going on at once.
Okay.
In those instances, then I'll call in support from other areas, or we'll talk to one of our contractors here. And generally, the goal is to restore as soon as possible. So if for any reason my team isn't going to be as fast as I want them to be, then, I call in the contractors, and we'll keep the work going overnight if we need to, so that we can have it restored just as soon as possible.
Is
So we'll have
9
rotating
hours a
people.
standard time for
9
a
hours
cut?
was actually very quick, I believe. I haven't been with Brightspeed long enough to know exactly what our average response time is, but I was told that this was relatively quick. And especially for, a buried 48 pair cable like this, I felt pretty good about our response time there.
Splicing fiber to get together is extraordinarily tedious work, and it's slow. It's got to be done perfectly.
Mhm.
I understand. I need a baseline so that, when people are calling me complaining about their service being out for 9 hours, I have to be able to tell them whether that's a responsible amount of time or an irresponsible amount of time for service restoration.
And something I could point out is that sometimes if multiple utilities are hit, like if like a power electric pole gets hit and takes everything down, then often there's an order we have to go in with utilities. So we might have to wait for power to do first, and then cable, and then it would be the Brightspeed fiber. So, there's all sorts of different ways it can get complicated, but generally in situations like this, 9 hours I think would be a good target time for my team. And so that's what we'll keep trying to do.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yes, sir.
Mr. Brewer, just a clarification question earlier on this loop
Yes, sir.
discussion and the cost, the $15 million investment in the 3-year
And
timeframe.
again, that's
It's an estimate, and 3 years was kind of a speculation, not trying to hold you. What I'm trying to understand is is the 3-year time frame that long because of permitting, lack of funding, waiting for grants, combination of all three? Why it couldn't be in under 12 months, I guess is what I'm trying to understand.
I would say a
better.
combination of all three. I mean, certainly the project has to be engineered and then we have to submit for the permits. And depending upon the parties that we need to get permitting for, sometimes that moves very quickly and sometimes it moves slowly. And I'll give you an example. We have an RDOF grant in this county. We've got I think it's about 75 addresses that are sitting behind a permit that we've been waiting on for in the Mans Harbor vicinity. We have been working with Federal Fish and Wildlife for months upon months upon months to get that one across the finish line. So,
Right.
you know, I wish I could sit here and tell you that permitting went very quickly. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. So,
And that $15 million investment, some or all of that is being funded by grants from the federal government?
now, so there's actually still two possibilities out there. So the state of North Carolina in their BEAD application to the NTIA did include this particular project as part of that. And I think we'll find out by the end of the year is what I'm hearing, if that stays in there. However, what the North Carolina General Assembly put in the state budget this year, so this is state funds, and they did it for reasons of public safety, is to close the fiber loop along the Outer Banks. So there's technically two possibilities, but I feel very confident. The North Carolina General Assembly did appropriate funds for essentially this purpose.
So the delay can be traced back to the permitting, not funding, since it's already in an approved budget.
It's in an approved budget, but the program has not been rolled out.
Right, because it needs engineered and
Well, no,
permitted.
first thing we have to do, so if we go the route of the North Carolina
Right,
Department
that
of
sounds like the
Information
surest
Technology.
way.
Agreed. If it goes that route, they still have to put out a request for proposal. So once they do that, they will have an application period of their determination. I don't know, 60, 90 days, something along those lines. But again, I'm speculating there and probably shouldn't speculate, but that's up to the North Carolina Department of Information Technology. And by the way, we have an outstanding Department of Information Technology. We do business in 20 states and they are the cream of the crop. They are an outstanding organization to work with. But so how the process generally will go is they will put out a request for proposals. Providers will have an opportunity to apply. They will, then they will make an award, go into a contract period. The engineering begins, the permitting follows, and then construction.
Okay, just the 3 years felt like a glacial pace to me. And I was
don't
trying to
know that
understand why
I don't
things
know
move
that it
at
will
such-
take that length of time. I will tell you in the other broadband grant programs, not submarine cable, just standard broadband grant programs, the typical time in those is 2 years. But I have never been responsible for deploying submarine cable.
Right.
It's really a very unusual situation. And this is, quite frankly, is somewhat of a long stretch for submarine cable. But I assure you that, if we are successfully awarded this grant, we will move as quickly as possible to close that loop.
Well, sounds like the state budget has approved the funding and for Northeast North Carolina, so
We're getting very
is
close.
high.
I'm sorry?
My optimism is high on that award
Mine
of the
too,
money.
sir. I assure you of that.
Thank you.
I too have been working this issue for a number of years. Yes, sir.
I got one more question. What's the possibility of using some of that community reinvestment, $334 million, to do this? Wouldn't that be the same?
I'm not sure.
Is the community reinvestment to do for the 13 counties in eastern North Carolina?
Well, I will tell you, if you read the state budget.
This was federal money I'm talking about.
Yeah. But if you read the state budget, it is designed to cover a situation like the one we are describing here. And then, again, the BEAD program that I spoke of a bit earlier, that is federal money. So the way that works is providers submit an application to NCDIT. NCDIT makes I'll say a provisional award, but then it has to go to the federal government for their review and final approval. So NCDIT is the administrator of the grants here in North Carolina, but they still have to be signed off at the federal level. They included funds to cover this particular closing of the fiber loop. And we still don't have, I'll say, sign off or clearance from the federal government there. So there's some chance greater than zero that this could be funded by the federal government as opposed to the state government. But the state government has specifically included funds in the budget for a program such as this.
Okay, the last question is, what can this entity do to expedite this thing further? And what can you do?
I will let you know. I will be happy to stay in touch with Mr. Alton, and if there's anything that you can do to help us push this along, I'll be happy to do that.
We would be happy to work both at the federal and the state level to do that. And once we get it up, we get the program in place, if we can help expedite permitting and some of those things to make this faster as well, we've got some experience there. We'll be glad to join in that.
And we would welcome the coordination.
I'm sure you have an extraordinary lobbying group in the federal and state legislature. Let's,
You're looking at it.
let's, use that. Oh, they pay you to do you're the big bucks guy, handing out the checks. Let's work on that.
It doesn't
please.
work that way, but.
Yes, it does.
So in August of 2025, you guys announced that you had raised 1.65 billion, increasing the new total fiber expansion capital. So, I mean, to 1.65 billion, 16 million seems like pennies. So
Well,
why are you waiting for grants? Unless I'm not understanding.
So, I mean, certainly our investors, I mean, quite frankly, our investors are providing us funding to make investments where we can recover those investments. Closing the fiber loop presents some challenges. It is by no means money that we will recover. That's why a grant is really a good way to fund this. And it's, quite frankly, it's a real public safety issue. And all aspects,
Exactly.
all aspects of, like, I've had
But
support.
here's where we get frustrated. Because we had a system with the microwave towers and things that was working. But you guys came in and said, and fiber optics came in and said, we can do this better, we can do it faster, we're gonna do this. Now you've got us in too far to go back, and our only option for reliable service is Starlink.
Well, we did resurrect the microwave tower.
Because, well, I'll tell you this, when the power went down, or when that cable was cut, there's a man in Hatteras Village that had a very serious medical issue, and thank God there were some kids playing at the pool nearby and hurt him, and had to go to the fire station to get help because nobody could make a call. It is real. It is very real. So when we read that you guys are investing this 1.65 and you've got to get a return on your investment, the return on your investment in Hatteras Village on Hatteras Island is someone's life or someone's safety. So it's not about the bottom line. It's about, can someone I love get help when this happens?
I completely understand that. And we did resurrect the microwave tower. The microwave tower is capable of, when there is a cut in the transport fiber coming down the Outer Banks, the microwave tower is capable of carrying landline voice services.
There's no landline on the beach. There's no landline on a boat sitting at the dock.
I understand that. And
Nobody has landlines anymore.
That's not entirely true. But I will, the wireless providers in the area, and I don't want to speak for them, but there's also
Let me speak
options for them
real
to move
quick.
to satellite.
It's a good time to tell you, because I was going to tell you at the end anyway. Drew's been working for nearly 2 years with AT&T to do just what you just described, to get a microwave up to be a redundant 911. We can't do a redundant internet. We've got two problems. We've got our business community, when we get a cut, has the problems that you all have described. And then our public safety has a problem because our 911 service won't work as well. So we've been working for a while trying to get that up. And I say we, Drew has been working hard to get that up. And I think as of last week, or the end of last week, AT&T has got their microwave up and running so that at least if we have a cut now, you can still have 911 service from your phone, whether you're an AT&T customer or not. Anybody that has a cell phone can do that. You will not have to drive to the fire station to do that. You should be able to do that. And if you're an AT&T customer, then you can get regular cell service as well. So, not the perfect solution, but is a solution to one of the problems there as we work on the other problems.
We need to get
Say
that
right,
information
Drew.
out there.
Make sure I've got that right, Drew.
Just want to clarify, you said microwave. First, that AT&T is backhauling via satellite. When the fiber was cut last week, only one of their cell sites, the one in Avon, backhauled automatically. I engaged with my contacts at FirstNet, AT&T. The first one that got turned on of the other 6 was in Hatteras Village. After the cut was done, I reached out to them again to say, what about the other 4? They said, as of today, all 6 of them, that's going to be on Ocracoke, Hatteras Village, Buxton, Avon, at Rodanthe. I say 6, but there's 6 of them. 3 are on our water towers. One's on a tower in Ocracoke, one's on a tower in Rodanthe, and one's in a tower in Buxton. But they will now all automatically backhaul over satellite, which was not happening before the fiber was cut last week. So that's a good thing. Our CRDs are still there to help us bring those online. And that person in Hatteras Village is alive because of that CRD. They did get a text to 911 in off of that CRD. But Bobby, that's my, that's a mobile,
Yes,
a compact deployable resource, something we got a grant for. We bought 6 of them. They're deployed on Hatteras Island. They're mobile cell tower on wheels that our volunteer fire departments deploy, and they're hosted at volunteer fire departments.
What are we doing? What are we doing to get that word out?
I just got it right now, sir.
What are your what are the plans then to get the word out?
I'll get AT&T to come down here, do a joint press
We'll get
release and
Dorothy to
share the
get something
information.
out as well.
Pardon?
We'll get
We
Dorothy to
will,
get something out as well.
just breaking news, sir.
I understand. I'm just asking a question. I want to know how we getting it out. That's all.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we just got the word just a couple days ago, so we're working on it. Bobby, that's the only, to clarify, it's being backhauled via satellite, not microwave.
Okay.
Well, the only other thing, sir, is I'd hear that you at least tell your investors they need to start investing a little more in these rural areas because there is a major company seeking out the lost. As you're aware, Starlink is now popping up all over the Outer Banks. All the charter boats have it. Everything in these rural areas is switching over to Starlink. And if you continually lose your customer base to this almost $1 trillion company, you might see an end where your cables become obsolete.
Thank you for that. Certainly in North Carolina, and we are a rural provider in North Carolina, we will, when our fiber deployment is concluded, we will have somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million fiber passings in the state. So we are making a substantial investment, particularly in North Carolina. It's our largest state of the 20 that we do business in by a long shot.
I've got something to bring up that's not as important as what keeping Hatteras and the rest of the county up and running. But I know we're at downside of that. Commissioner Bateman and myself have a constituent in Kitty Hawk. He's got Brightspeed line running through 2 of his vacant lots, well outside of the right of way, like through the middle of the lot. He has contacted Brightspeed, and somebody from Brightspeed told him they were going to take care of it. That person got promoted and was gone. I got involved with it. I called Brightspeed. I spent an hour and a half on the phone from someone from a foreign country who was adamantly telling me there was nobody in North Carolina I could talk to about this person's Brightspeed line going through his vacant lots. They actually issued a second work order under my name to have that line removed. It's been 8 months. I haven't heard nothing, and neither has he.
If you could communicate their address and contact information, perhaps through Mr. Alton to me, we'll get it taken care of immediately.
Okay.
Thank you.
It shouldn't take that.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, and certainly I can't speak to the specifics of the situation, but if you will get the address communicated to us, and we'll be happy to take care of it. That's why Mike came up here, because his team can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have anything else to share with us then?
I think that will do it.
Any further comments from the board, questions? Well, thank you for taking the time
Yes,
out
sir.
and bringing your team. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
County manager? Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, that brings us to item 6 on the agenda. This is a presentation from Coastal Family Collaborative, and Heather Jeanette's here for that presentation.
Good morning.
Is this like law and order? Like, can I ask if I can approach, or is it?
Sure, you just we'll pass them out. Just hand them here and I'll get Skylar to give them to
You may not
We already,
approach.
we
We already
already have,
got them, though.
we already have.
We sent you one thing, but there's a little background.
Oh, okay.
I need one back. Thank you.
No,
Okay.
sorry.
That's all right.
You can share, it's not a binder. These are in our order, some letters that we can leave with you guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Heather Jeanette. I am here with several other members of the nonprofit organization Coastal Family Collaborative. Thank you for allowing us the time and space to be here. I'm not on the timer, like public comment, okay? So I'm sorry, this is a little bit long, but I think it's important, so bear with me. We are representatives of parents, educators, business owners, healthcare workers, other community members who are here with the same goal. We hope that we're not bringing you another version of a problem that you've heard about time and again. We think we are here rather with a plan for a tangible solution. We believe what we have is innovative, thoughtful, and most importantly, sustainable. You know that the last licensed childcare facility on Hatteras Island closed in December of 2025. And since then, families have been left trying to piece together childcare however we can, and sometimes we can't. We rely on grandparents and friends. We've reduced work hours. Some parents have had to leave the workforce altogether. Employers are struggling to recruit and retain employees, and mostly we're left making impossible decisions with the most precious members of our family. And we know that childcare has not or has been traditionally operated as a private for-profit business. And we recognize that Dare County has historically been cautious about using public dollars to support a private business, and we respect that. And our request is different. We are a nonprofit organization. There are no owners, no shareholders. Any dollar brought into this organization beyond operating expenses is to be reinvested directly back into children, teachers, and the long-term success of the program. We are not asking for county dollars to support a private business. We are asking for a partner in restoring an essential community service. We recognize that the county previously funded childcare centers during the pandemic. And those funds were provided because childcare was recognized as an essential service. And we believe that remains just as true today as it was then. The difference is we're not asking the county to rescue a struggling operation. We're asking you to help launch a new nonprofit model that has been intentionally designed from the ground up with long-term sustainability in mind. Dare County, in words and deeds, has consistently spoke of its commitment to families and children. We know about proclamations like the Month of the Child and Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we know about partnerships with CYP, the Early Care and Education Initiative, Family Support Services. You've repeatedly recognized that supporting children and families is shared community responsibility. That was a quote, that supporting families is shared work across our community, and we see our requests as an extension of those efforts. We're also known as the land of the beginnings. We like to lead the way. We like to find innovative and creative solutions to community challenges. But in North Carolina, communities across the state have already recognized that new approaches are needed. Jackson and Yadkin County have purchased properties and are supporting childplex models. Does anybody know how to say Watauga? Thank you. That county offers financial support to childcare workers who have their own children enrolled in a childcare center. Buncombe and Mecklenburg counties have repeatedly used county dollars to stabilize efforts. They are recognizing that childcare is not simply a family issue, it's a workforce issue, an economic issue, a community issue. We think it's time to shift thinking from childcare as only a private business to recognizing that it is actually economic infrastructure. The North Carolina Department of Commerce did a county level analysis through a formula called the Untapped Potential in North Carolina. And Dare County stands to lose approximately $11.8 million each year to lost business productivity, employee turnover, absenteeism, and lost tax revenue due to the lack of childcare. I can't speak to how much Hatteras Island factors into that equation, but it's some. And 35% of parents who experienced disruptions in employment in the past year have ended up leaving the workforce altogether, and these patterns are not sustainable. We've been working for several months. As I've been involved with this, I've had numerous conversations with families who are living this, parents who made the decision to grow their family when there was a daycare, and by the time the delivery got there, there wasn't. Parents who have quietly put plans for another child on hold because it's not feasible. They can't do it. I've watched parents leave jobs they loved and worked really hard for, not because they wanted to, but because they had nowhere safe for their kids to go. I've seen the stress and an uncertainty that it's placed on families, and I've seen and lived the exhaustion from trying to answer the same question every day or every week of who's got my kid tomorrow. I sat down last night to edit this for what I swore was going to be the last time, and we'd had 24 letters. I think When I woke up this morning, it was 27, from parents, business owner, foster families, people who have already left our community because of this. And we put out the call for these letters on Thursday. So that's the response we've had in that amount of time from an organization who hadn't even made their Facebook page public because we were kind of waiting to see where things were going. So the need is there, the outcry is there. And that's why we're here, is because of these conversations. Our first initiative is to bring safe, reliable childcare back to Hatteras Island through what we plan to call the Title Tots Child Care Center. Our vision is to create and sustain this nonprofit model to provide early childhood education and support working families that are the backbone of our community. Getting here to this model has been nothing like a straight line. We looked at parent co-ops. We looked at religious sponsored organizations to get the doors open. We looked at Childplex models. We've talked with CYP, the Division of Child Development, COA Small Business Center, former owners, former employees, county staff. We've done our due diligence. We've looked at the role subsidies play in that and how stars and licensure allow or preclude funding. Every step has brought us to where we are, and we think what we have has a real incredible opportunity to succeed. Being a nonprofit opens revenue sources that are not available as a traditional childcare business. We've already been awarded grant funding from the North Carolina Rural Center. We've applied for a grant from the Community Foundation. We continue to look at their larger grant, as childcare is one of only 3 criteria for that. We have a board of people who are willing to work to find the money that's out there to make this sustainable. So that's how we're here. This is what we're here for. Our request to you is specific and intentionally limited. We are requesting $125,000, which will cover the cost of leasing the facility for 3 years. During that time, our goal is to establish a stable, self-sustaining organization while continuing to grow additional grant funding and community support. If our model was dependent on ongoing county funding, we wouldn't be standing here. It's not. We know that any public investment establishes expectations. We've worked hard to make sure that this request is limited in scope and purpose. We're not asking you to underwrite an ongoing operation. We're asking for a one-time investment in restoring an essential community service through a nonprofit model designed to become self-sustaining. We have negotiated a lease with the last operating child care center on the island. I don't know if you've looked into the building requirements and the code requirements that it takes to open a child care facility. But being able to move into the last occupied one has eliminated a lot of financial and administrative hurdles that will allow us to get teachers and kids in the classroom much sooner. Our operating model is designed to be close to revenue neutral, surplus reinvested directly into the program. We're looking at offering competitive wages and benefits to attract and retain workers, as we understand that was many of the reasons that they left before, was it was a low-paying hourly job with no benefits. I'm skipping some of that. Really, we believe that this is more than opening another child care center. It's allowing parents to get back and remain in the workforce. It's helping employers fill positions. It's supporting year-round families. It's investing in a model that we hope will serve an example. We intend to do no gatekeeping. We want this to work, and we want other communities in Dare County to say, how did you do this? And we can share that information. So we've built the plan, we've sought the guidance, we've secured some funding, and we are asking you to partner with us in bringing it back. So, thank you.
Thank you. Board, open for any questions you may have.
Just a quick clarification or two. We don't have the presentation queued up on the screen, do we? No? The package? Okay.
Were you asking me or back there?
I'm asking you, Heather.
And not to my knowledge.
Right. Then these can be follow-up questions for you. You don't have to answer them right now.
Okay.
On page 5, we have 2 graphs. One of them, 5.3, is the funding wheel. If you have a copy, maybe you could look to it while
I might have a for you.
I can,
Come here, baby. You're okay.
wait a minute, no assistance allowed. This is one person. Since this is not an open book exam with assistance. What was it they used to do? Call a lifeline? We just called it, call a friend lifeline.
Let him answer.
Yeah. Again, page 35, Heather.
Okay.
Are you on it? Not yet.
I'm on it, but my numbers could have changed. So
Well,
it's the graph. We're looking for a graph. Yeah.
there are 2 graphics on the page 35 that I'm looking at.
Okay. I'm here.
Just like that.
Yeah, that's.
These-
The tuition waterfall.
And the funding wheel. The funding wheel shows a breakdown of how the money will be brought and used to basically provide the revenues and run the operation. Below it is a waterfall. What I'm finding is I'm a little confused on the actual cost says $1,600 per child, right? The grants and public funding, $450 a month, right?
Okay.
You with me?
I'm with you.
Grants and public fund. Are those known specific grants, public funding that are going to be secured because we know they're there and we can get them? Or is this a wish list of, we hope we can find some grants and public funding someplace?
We've been awarded $50,000 from the North Carolina Rural Center. That grant is typically dispersed over 2 years, 25 each year. Given the urgency and scope of what we are trying to do, they have indicated that they would be agreeable to giving us all the money up front. That is a grant that we know that we have.
But that's very small compared to the nearly 400,000 a year, 450 a month times 30 students. That's $150,000. Am I getting that correctly?
Yes, I'm not sure about the waterfall graph.
Not sure about the waterfall.
No.
Okay, because up
I would
above,
pay,
I was trying to reconcile, again, I'm just reading, the plan was very detailed, very, very specific in its numbers and data.
and
as
if you, in the copies that you have, because I do know that you're a numbers guy, the average monthly tuition, it pained me to do so, but I scratched it out and rewrote it with a pen. When these were printed, we were working with some numbers that were a little bit lower that we'd moved up just basically because they were much more easily divisible by 4 for weekly or biweekly payments. And it also increased the revenue a little bit. So that's why there's a discrepancy between what you might have gotten digitally and what's in front of
Yeah,
you.
$42.
Well, yeah, I'm not chasing $42 here. I'm not trying to trap you or anything.
Yeah, I'm chasing.
The grant funding was, again, roughly almost 30% of the monthly tuition based on the waterfall,
So I think maybe
but above, again, you don't have to finish. I'm just pointing out what I'm trying to do is the grants above on the funding wheel are only 15 to 20%, yet they're close to 30% on the waterfall. It
So
seems
the
like there's
1,600, I think, is saying that's the average cost per child per month, not tuition per month. So it's factoring in things like overhead and rent, utilities. It's not, there was never a tuition number that was 1,600.
No, the tuition number's $550, and if you had 30 fully staffed 30 kids, and they were there 12 months out of the year, and every parent paid on time, you're only looking at $198,000 a year, while your overall cost is $375,000.
You said 550?
That's what it says right here on
Yeah, that's
page
what it says.
35, family tuition, what families pay per child, $550 a month.
I think that is the goal after subsidies come in averaging the percentage of kids that are typically on subsidies that might be the family's additional cost.
I
So
understand,
No.
but
the
that's
important numbers are, I think,
$400,000.
If you look at 5.6, though, it says the following tuition structure represents projected rates required to support the proposed staffing model and operating budget, and those are much higher per child.
Well, yeah.
Page
because-
36,
I
5.6.
get it.
How
but
many,
Which
you
one
guys
is
have
it?
a certain number of toddlers you can, like, for the age groups, how many infants are you allowed?
up to 5,
And how, do you know how many toddlers and how many preschool?
10 and 15. And all these projections are not done at full capacity. They're done with an average of 28 kids because Little Sprouts was historically on a wait list. They didn't close because they didn't have kids that needed daycare. So I think we all feel very confident that we can have 30 kids in the building. But to err on the side of caution, we're basing it on a capacity of, or on a
Oh, okay.
28 kids at a time.
I have a thought. I read through the full document and it was obviously very well prepared, very thought out, very professionally done. So thank you for that. What I was covering in my questioning were what I couldn't quite clarify or reconcile, some inconsistencies, and I've spoken with some of my fellow commissioners. I'm going to ask the board if you guys would be willing to create a small subcommittee of, and I'm going to do it ad hoc here, Matt Matika, myself, Commissioner Balance, and Chuck Lissette. The four of us to sit down with Heather and or her group as soon as possible, go through the questions. I know Mr. Lissette had some questions in an email sent to us, clarifying questions, because the issue is indeed extremely important. It is, I'm looking around at some of our younger constituents here this morning. Thank you for bringing them.
We wish that this was performative. This is our doctor's appointments.
No,
This
no,
is
I'm
our
not sure.
life.
That was not a joke. I know this is very important, Heather. Believe me, I'm taking it very seriously. That's why I'm proposing we do this, to get a deep dive, so we're not putting you on the spot here with what about this, what about that?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Well, we aren't clear on it then.
Yeah.
So that is a motion I would like to make if you guys feel it would be helpful.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor then by Commissioner Russ to create a subcommittee to meet with the applicant and work this out as soon as practical.
Yeah,
And it's been seconded. Floor is open for further discussion.
Yeah, I would support that issue because a lot of the numbers here just, to me, just don't add up. Like under the financial highlights in the first document.
What page?
It's in this, it's right before the table of contents.
That's page unknown.
Page unknown. It's like,
I'm gonna
you got the cover sheet, then you got the executive summary narrative.
Page 5.
Executive yeah, there you go. Under the financial highlights, it says annual operating budget of 375,000.
That
Annual
number-
revenue needed 370, so you're already $5,000 down. Just in that alone.
And so that was again before the marginal tuition increases. Think
Well,
the,
even with the one that you did the increase on, the extra $42 into that, those two numbers didn't change. So like I said, I think
That's
there's
why
some-
the motion's on the floor.
Exactly, so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm pointing out. We need to get a little bit deeper into the numbers to make sure it works.
And I certainly agree, and I understand, because I work with a lot of nonprofits, but you have to understand how slippery of a slope this could potentially be.
sure.
If I give one nonprofit $125,000, do you understand there's over 200 registered nonprofits in Dare County? If we gave every single one of them $125,000 to make it fair, that'd be $25 million.
I do, and I would hope that they would also have secured their, grant
Yeah, I
funding
knew
and
it
have
was
a
over 200. Yeah,
workable
300.
model.
Irvin said 300, so that's even more.
That's why we have Rob on here.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
put-
Yeah, I think we do need to have a subcommittee thoroughly go through everything, and I understand there's a need and certainly we want to do everything we can help. But this is certainly a slippery slope. So I completely agree with the appointment of a smaller subcommittee.
Heather, thank you for putting this
Yeah,
together.
most
Yeah,
Coming.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Absolutely, Heather.
Guys, I'm gonna tell you how big.
Did amazing.
What an issue this is. I have, not now, but I had an employee who would bring her little girl to work. And she would sit in the aquarium room and she would color and so forth, wait for the father to come pick her up. Unfortunately, a lot of times the father wouldn't come pick her up. So she was there for work and the pressure it put on the employee, the poor little kid that stayed there from 4 o'clock until 9:30 at nighttime. You shouldn't have to do that. So we do need to find a way, possibly sometime, if the numbers can work, to help out. So I get it. I understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
All right, any further comments?
I was the same way.
Hearing none, those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Like for Rob to reach out to you and get together as quickly as possible. We do have a meeting coming up, a special meeting coming up on the 10th. There might be a possibility, hopefully y'all could meet and have some answers for us so that we could act at that meeting as well.
Okay. That was my question, is how's the time frame on this?
Yeah. I'd hate for us to push it back a month. That's why if the urgency, if it's possible, that y'all could meet and work some things out and bring a proposal back to us by the 10th.
And in the meantime, let me know if I can help you find any private investors. I
Well,
wouldn't
if
have
you
any
know
issue.
them,
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, we can
Don't
work
hesitate,
on
Carson. Bring them.
I mean, we could seriously, privately paid for nonprofits is how they're generally operating, not government funded. So certainly the grants are a great thing, and then potentially we could, because like restaurants sponsor a lot of, Jersey Mike's every year does the stuff for the.
Sure, and we've talked
could-
to, banks and businesses, and the support is there. I think it's, for our thing, we're sort of a two-phased approach, because right now, families are crippled. So if we're here with like urgency, it's
And certainly
because
some of
it's
the
urgent.
businesses on Hatteras Island would appreciate having somewhere for their children.
Yes, and there are support letters from businesses that we have left with you.
Maybe they'll support you a little bit somewhere else too, financially.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Helen. Appreciate it.
Anything that you guys wanted to add? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
The only thing I will add about private investors is many of them do require 2 years of financials. And so we're asking for support to get the 2 years off the ground so that we can go for higher and more private investors. That's my last.
Got it. Thank you.
Good point.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a 10-minute break.
You have to protect us on that.
I call the Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting back to order. I'll turn it over to the county manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. That brings us to item 7 on the agenda. This is a Parks and Recreation Tax Referendum presentation, and Caitlin Kite and Spencer Gregory are here for that presentation.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Spencer.
Morning. We come before you today to present you a slideshow presentation detailing information about the upcoming quarter-cent sales tax referendum that will be on the November ballot. The PR team has been hard at work creating a dedicated website for the public to view, along with this PowerPoint presentation that will hopefully answer some frequently asked questions the public may have in regards to the upcoming referendum. Caitlin Kite, Assistant Public Information Director, and myself are here to present the slideshow and are happy to answer any questions you may have afterwards. And Caitlin's going to start us off.
Thank you all for allowing us to speak. I know you're all very well aware of the sales tax referendum that'll be on the November ballot, but this is sort of our launching point. Spencer, myself, Dorothy, Sheila Davies, and then our Parks and Rec Advisory Council board members. We have Chairman Justin Bateman here, Vice Chair Macy Chauvin. We've been meeting, we've met several times to discuss how we should educate the public, because I think that's our responsibility here, to let them know what's going to be on the ballot and what it means. We've also referenced other counties that have successfully enacted a sales tax increase, like Mecklenburg County, to see what sorts of tools they used, what were some of the frequently asked questions that they included on their websites, what kind of educational outreach and print pieces that they produced. So I'd say the first question is that I'm experiencing just in the public when I talk about it is, what is it? What's being proposed? What is this tax increase? You can see the graphic that we use there, a penny cut into quarters, because when you say a quarter-cent sales tax increase, a lot of people immediately assume, oh, that's a quarter increase. So it's important to communicate the impact that this will have for the average taxpayer, and that it is pennies. Pennies for parks is kind of what we're using, the slogan. So a quarter cent is 0.0025 cents. And that, if it's approved on the November ballot, would be enacted as a sales tax increase to fund several Dare County Parks and Recreation improvements. And Spencer's going to go through all of those, the priorities that have been set. McGill Associates created a plan, an implementation plan for the county. And one of their suggested tools to cover the cost of some very significant improvements to parks was to enact a sales tax referendum. So that's why we're here today. This is a question that I think is very important. So what's it going to look like on my ballot? The language is specifically mandated from the state. I got this from our elections director. So this is how it will look on the ballot. Local sales and use tax at the rate of 1/4%, 0.25%, in addition to all other state and local sales and use taxes. And the voter has the option to vote for or against. So you can see there's not a lot of detail there. We're not able to say, look, this is for parks and recreation. This is much needed improvements. We are putting this on the ballot based on the survey responses that we received, the studies that we did on all of the parks and recreation facilities. So what we're using for that is our webpage that has a lot of these frequently asked questions.
Yeah,
Yes, Commissioner.
Dorothy, we talked briefly about this. You aren't allowed to say it will go from X to Y, or it's currently X and it will be Y. Not allowed to say that.
Not allowed to.
No, I wouldn't tell anybody either.
Can't do it.
So what we can say is, how much is this going to cost me? On an average item I might purchase, like a $10 t-shirt, that's going to be 2.5 pennies additional. For a $100 pair of tennis shoes, that would be 25 cents additional. For a $400 television, that's going to add $1 to that cost. So our finance director, Matt Motika, ran the calculations, and based on the median Dare County individual and family income, assuming that 10% is spent on items subject to this tax, this would cost approximately $14 per individual additionally per year, or $22 for families per year. So not
That's
a large
per year,
amount
not
per
per
year.
hour or per day or per week.
Exactly.
Per year.
per year.
Thank you.
Mhm. And another important thing to point out is who will pay this tax. So this isn't a property tax. It's not something that's specific to our residents and property owners. Our visitors will share the burden of this. The benefit of it being a sales tax is our visitors who also utilize our facilities, and I know our tennis courts and our pickleball courts and all of the great facilities that Parks and Recreation offers will help pay this tax every time they shop and dine in Dare County. Also, very important to point out, you'll see the graphic in the lower corner of this slide has a cross through automobiles, groceries, gasoline. This sales tax increase would not apply to those very important items. Yes,
Does
sir.
sales tax today apply to any of these important items?
There is a sales tax, but not this increase would not apply to those items.
Does the
food
current sales tax food, groceries, prescriptions, Matt?
Food.
The answer is no.
We have whatever the grocery tax is. I don't know what that is on the.
It is a nuanced answer because there's a local tax. So there's a.
Gotcha.
There's
Okay.
2% on groceries
Got it.
of the sales tax that
Sorry.
currently exists, but generally the answer is no.
Okay.
So-
Let me ask you something. Have these been printed?
The slides?
No,
They haven't.
the brochures that we're going to hand out.
Oh, we had an initial brochure that we did hand out at the block party. So just to kind of get the idea out there that this was coming, that was a great event that was coming up. We included 3, of these FAQs that are within this presentation.
I mean, this may sound petty. When you look at this, it all blends to me. If I read this, I would have had the word "not" in bright red, and I'd have had groceries, gasoline, prescription medicines, vehicles underlined and in red. So it just pops at you. So that's not what it's going to apply to. It's just, because when you read this, when the average person's reading this, that's not willing to spend another quarter cent on sales tax, they're gonna read right through that. They're not gonna see that one bit. And that's the only reason I bring that to your attention is pop it so it pops at you.
And we can definitely do that. We just did a very small run of those cards, and we'll have other additional educational pieces that we're running, and we'll focus on that.
Because folks, this is gonna be a hard sell. You would not believe, I've had conversations with my fellow commissioners, and some of the stuff that we're hearing just blows my mind, why they're not willing to support this.
Yeah, you got to go word of mouth. I mean, you got to thoroughly explain it because right now I can tell you what you're up against. You're up against 70-30. You're going to have to swing 20 to 22% of people. That's almost 1 out of every 4 people that live here. You're looking at 70% in the hole right now. I guarantee you if you voted right now.
Is that based on a
Currituck,
poll or is that just your intuition or what?
Due to similar counties already trying to do sales tax referendums that failed by 70% margins in Hyde, Currituck, and other similar places.
So Currituck instituted a 1/4 cent and lost 70-30.
Yeah, pretty much.
And their purpose was also Parks and Rec?
No, it was something different, I believe. Well, it might have been part, it wasn't. What was theirs?
They have one going right now. I think one will be on the ballot.
Theirs was to subsidize their ad valorem tax.
Okay.
To their general fund.
Yeah, I know.
The more we can,
I'd rather
the
vote
more
for
we
that.
can get it to pop as to what this would not apply to and what it's going for, in printed material to me, I think is certainly critical.
So we'll do that. And also our Parks and Rec Advisory Council, they've accumulated a list of homeowners associations, children's after school groups and sports groups like OBX Storm, that they have representatives who are going to go and speak and provide a presentation to get that general awareness out there for all of those groups. It's a pretty exhaustive
And I
list
made a
that makes
mistake.
these.
Currituck hasn't done theirs yet, but Hyde did.
Yeah, I think they're
Currituck's
working
still
on one
the
right
ballot.
now.
They haven't.
Currituck's
passed
not
it.
involved in
They're
this.
not involved yet.
I mean,
They've got one on the ballot similar to us, but theirs hasn't.
the public needs to be aware.
Mhm. So this is our
that
kickoff, and we'll,
if this doesn't pass, we're not going to be in a position to spend $800,000 for lights for a soccer field. We're not going to be able to spend another 30, 40, I can't remember, Spencer, how many thousands of dollars we spent to reside a soccer field behind First Flight Middle and repair those lights and to put those lights in, or to do Satterfield, a whole separate field with fencing. The list goes on and on. And if this doesn't pass, the first group that pops in here that's asking for money and we don't help them, they're going to be bent out of shape.
I think it's vital to share with the public that this is how we make the improvements that all of our residents voted in favor of. They took surveys. We had more than 10% of our Dare County residents complete the survey that McGill and Associates shared. We also had focus groups, and the plan that Spencer is going to present is based off of that. And the only way that can be funded was, okay, we will enact a sales tax referendum in hopes that that will cover the costs of all of these improvements that residents have shared they would like to see in our parks and recreation facilities and fields. So that's definitely, we're also working with Current TV. We're going to produce a series of short videos, sort of using our FAQs and using what we're hearing from the public to quickly disseminate information on social media platforms. That we think that'll be a great way to target people in addition to the in-person outreach. And the marketing materials we'll be handing out at farmers markets and events like that, just getting in front of people. And I think
69.8% in Hyde County voted against, while only 30.2% voted for.
And what was the referendum in Hyde County to do in Hyde County?
It was a 0.25 sales tax. I got it right.
Yeah, I got that. For what purpose?
0.25 local sales tax. That's all it is. Referendum proposing a 1/4 cent local sales and use tax increase, probably similar to what they're doing in Currituck to offset ad valorem.
I think the toughest part is definitely getting in front of people ahead of this, because if you do see that on the ballot, it doesn't provide any information.
We
So
just have similar voting demographics to there, so.
yeah, so just really providing information ahead of this is what our goal is.
Once again, Caitlin, I love this slide when it says, the plan identifies significant needs for improvements over the next decade that exceeds what can be funded through the county's annual budget. That sentence is critical. It needs to pop and it needs to hit them between the eyes.
Absolutely. I agree. We'll push that. It's going to provide that long-term funding for all of the different priorities that Spencer's going to go through. And again, it also removes the financial burden slightly for our property owners. It's not a property tax increase. It's a sales tax increase that's being suggested. So our visitors will help pay for this. And then I know another question that I've heard from the public is, why can't occupancy tax assist with this? And occupancy tax is restricted by the state and cannot be used for these parks and recreation improvements. So that's another thing that we want to make sure is clear, that this is our only viable tool to make these improvements.
Occupancy tax now is certainly scrutinized.
And I think now I'll hand it over to Spencer for the next slide. He's going to go through priorities.
All right. How would Dare County residents benefit from this tax? Parks and Recreation provides safe, accessible places for residents of all ages to stay active, healthy, and connected. Additional funding would help Dare County meet growing demand for youth sports, recreation programs, and community events, improve and modernize aging parks, athletic fields, and recreation facilities, expand opportunities for children, families, adults, and seniors, support healthier lifestyles through outdoor recreation and wellness programs. Recreation for 100 miles. So as you know, our county is 100 miles long, so it adds some distinct disadvantages. Dare County Parks and Recreation serves residents across 3 regional divisions through 5 major community and rec centers. The department provides youth and adult athletics, after-school programs and summer camps, fitness, dance, and wellness classes, senior programs and community activities, Special Olympics and inclusive recreation, countywide special events, and facility rentals. Our current facilities include 17 baseball, softball, t-ball fields, 10 playgrounds, soccer and multipurpose athletic fields, indoor and outdoor basketball courts, tennis and pickleball courts, walking trails, skate parks, dog parks, and fitness facilities. How would these revenue be used? If approved, the additional 1/4 cent sales tax would be dedicated to improving Dare County Parks and Recreation facilities. Funding would support approximately $56.9 million in parks and recreation facility upgrades, renovations, and expansions identified through the countywide recreation needs assessment and recommendation plan. The sales tax will only be implemented if approved by Dare County voters during the 2026 general election in November. So what did McGill identify as our needs for Dare County recreation? Artificial turf fields. This will allow, not every single field, but they did recommend adding in turf fields to allow for year-round multi-use, increasing capacity and availability on our most used fields. Trails, addition of walking and biking and multi-use trails, increasing connectivity. Also, indoor facility expansion at our 3 major divisions, recreation expansion in all 3 divisions to provide more availability of programming. Revitalizing the old swimming hole and creating a site plan for that park, and redevelop and name the site. Splash pads. So they identified for the aquatic need a splash pad in each of the divisions, one in Northern Beach, one in Roanoke Island mainland, and one in Hatteras Island. Playground improvements. We have 10 playgrounds. Upgrade all existing playgrounds and offer more accessible features and improve surfacing. Outdoor pickleball. Create a multi-use court at the Fessenden Center and improve existing outdoor courts. Security lighting to enhance safety and lighting at all of our parks, as well as our field lighting. And also land banking. When opportunities arise to secure some land, we would have that land bank in order to increase our future park facility expansion, like when the opportunities arise. And that is the website that Public Relations has created for this presentation and many other frequently asked questions. It's darenc.gov/1/4 cent.
And we're open to, if you all have suggestions for questions that aren't listed on the page, if there's some that you're hearing from constituents, please let us know, because it's going to be ever evolving and we can add to it as we go and as we hear in the public, as we do outreach questions that people may have.
I have something real quick. Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Was I interrupted?
Go ahead.
I didn't hear it mentioned. You might have mentioned it and I just didn't hear it. One of the things when we went over this initially was that and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Matt had the number, there was around 70% of this was going to be funded by people who were here as visitors. So 3/4 almost of the burden is going to be on the on tourism. So only about 1/4 of the burden is actually going to be on the taxpaying citizens, even less. Yeah, businesses. So very, very much.
I mean, the real number is $22 a day, people. We are not talking about a lot of money here.
Wait a minute. what?
Not a day, not a day.
Or a year.
Not a day.
No, that's my fault, a year.
That's definitely something that
I thought, yeah, on a family, right?
Yeah, for family.
Thank you for bringing that up, because we'll emphasize that in the.
I think it's very much worthy of emphasis in some point. And then I don't know if you'll be allowed to but to have handouts available. I know we're about to get into the fall sports schedule with Parks and Rec, soccer fields and facilities in use on Saturdays, full of people, full of kids. Be great to get the word out. And then one other thing I would love to see is I know they're going to, and Macy, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, the inclusive playground is at Kitty Hawk Elementary. I would love to see one further south, more centralized. If we eventually do have that funding, I think that would be a fantastic use of funds somewhere closer like Nags Head or even Roanoke Island.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about promotion of this, the legalities. And County Manager, you'll have to pop in on this. And let's talk about legalities of promoting, not only from board members, but from Board of Education members or Parks and Rec Committee members or whatever. Pardon?
People have been appointed by.
Right. So legally, what can and can we not do? Let's talk about the board first.
Right, so as a board proper, or as the county, all we can do is put out information. You can't, as a board, put out a flyer or a postcard or a video that says vote yes or vote no. You can't ask for a vote. You can put out all the information that you want as a board or as a county that does what we just did, says, here's what we're doing, here's what's being asked, here's what it means, here's how it works. All the facts, you can lay those out however you want. You just can't promote a yes or a no vote. Now, you all as individual people are political by nature, and many of your decisions are political, and you have the right to voice your own opinion however you want to. If you're for it or against it or whatever, you have the right to say what you think. You just can't do it on behalf of the county. It's you. And the same would hold true then when you go to the boards. The board, the Recreation Advisory Board can't come out and say vote yes or vote no. But the chairman can say, I think this is a great idea, let's do it, as the chairman, but he's not speaking on behalf of the board, he's not speaking on behalf of the county.
So if I have a pocket full of these flyers, I can give them to my friends.
Sure.
Okay. Now, Michael brought up a very, very, very important point. And I'm not so sure that we shouldn't have a separate flyer, just a card, information card, saying exactly what Matt has told us. And that is 70% of these funds are coming from our visitors. I'm not so sure that we might not want to look into having a second card printed, because that's critical. I mean, that message is critical as the messages. Huh?
Yeah, it ain't gonna hurt.
And that might also,
If you put the two together,
I didn't say anything about it. I'm just making a recommendation.
15% of
Yeah. So,
5%.
might be worthwhile also making that one of the short videos that we do, kind of focusing on that, because we can target our local population, residents of Dare County.
Right.
In a certain radius, so that might be a good short video we create also.
How many you printing?
We'll see. The first run that we printed we just printed 200 for the block party, just to have out there, to have some information to get ahead of it, since that would be a big stakeholder group. That's a lot of parents of children who participate in parks and recreation activities. I think for this, I mean, for similar initiatives like our A250 fair, we printed, I think, 6,000 of the postcards for that. So something around that number in order to have them for outreach at farmers markets, at our national night outs, those sorts of events, and then also have some in each parks and recreation facility.
I know that our public information office is going to do a fabulous job with posting this in our system, and so people can read it. But what legality, or if any, do we have to do a mass mailer?
We can do anything that we want to put out facts. We cannot spend county dollars to promote a yes or a no.
All right, so we could literally do a mass mailer to our citizens. I understand it'll cost some money, but just that flyer itself.
We could.
Also,
Okay.
Currituck County they sent out a newsletter. I actually know about it from our favorite Currituck County resident, Skylar. She shared it with us because she knew it's something that we were going to be working on. They had a sales tax referendum and they sent it a part of their regular newsletter, but it was a mailed newsletter that they sent to all residents. So that
I mean, and the reason I'm asking so many questions and being so adamant about this is a hard sell, an extremely hard sell. Commissioner Bateman can back me up, the rest of the commissioners. I mean, I've got people that, well, I'm not going to support this. I don't have any children in school. Well, excuse me, you know, I got two grown men that's one's 50 and one's 48. I don't have any in school. I don't have any grandkids in school here. But, you know, I'm going to support something because this is the future of Dare County. I'd much rather have this and them involved in all the things that we want to do than having them end up in Urban's
Recovery
Recovery
Corps,
Corps.
challenge,
Yeah,
it's an investment in the health of your community.
absolutely.
I think, you know, and-
Absolutely it is.
Well,
And
I'll say on
also-
Hatteras Island, we have a very large number of
Adult.
adults, retired adults that are going, there's 40, 50 of them every morning at the
Fitness
working out and doing the
classes.
fitness classes. I mean,
Yeah.
on the hour. I mean, they're just as active as the kids, if not more.
And that's one thing that we talked about, and I don't think I really touched in the presentation. Well, during our meetings, we want to make sure that folks in the community know that this benefits our adult population also, our senior center and our
And you
Virginia
did
Tech
a good
Community
job with the
Center.
pictures, showing different
Trying to
pictures of
show.
different ages. Because
And
I
our
picked up on that.
trails, Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just for our youth, but that's a great point.
This may not be a question for y'all, but it could be a question for Justin. Are there groups out there, baseball moms, dads, soccer moms and dads, gymnastic moms and dads, et cetera, willing to help us sell this?
Would you guys like to speak about anything? I don't know if you wanted to speak to that, because they've identified a
I don't want
list.
to be nit, but be careful in your language. They can't help us sell this.
Okay, excuse that expression. Yeah.
Inform on.
And
Educate.
help inform
Educate.
the public. Or educate the public.
No,
Excuse
they can absolutely advocate 100%. It's just not on our behalf.
Right.
They
Yeah.
can't speak for the county. If the Little League program wants to say, support the tax referendum and put up billboards and run TV ads, they can do that, all that they want to do. Dare County just can't fund and promote it as a county.
Got it. Okay.
Right, that they have a really exhaustive list of organizations that they hope to reach out to with educational materials or a presentation. And I think they've secured meetings with all of those organizations. And several of their members are going to take turns going out to those groups.
Have we had, what about our municipalities? Have we've made them aware of what what's out there?
Have we directly, to my knowledge, we haven't done anything directly to the town saying, here are the facts. Now, I'm sure they're aware, there's members in the municipalities that sit on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board and all that, so it's not that they don't know, but have we reached out to them directly to ask them to put out the factual information? I don't think we've done that, or at least not yet.
Not formally. This is really just rolling out because we
Right.
know how busy people are. So I would say become Labor Day, things start slowing down a bit, that's when people are really going to be focused on it. And certainly, we have a close relationship with our PIOs, our communications cohorts in the towns, and we'll be asking them to share it in their newsletters. All the towns have newsletters and different ways. So we're really just getting started with
Part of the
rolling it
reason
out.
that we're here before you today is for you to do what you just did.
Right.
To look at what we've got, get your reaction to it, come up with ideas so that when we do this in earnest, in full, then we've got it the right way, and we've got the right information, and we've emphasized the right stuff. So we're just now starting. This is the first go, and we'll take the information you've given us today and add it to what we do.
I would do the a mock card that we could do the every door direct mail and see how much it's going to cost to do that as an informational piece. I think when Bob suggested that, when we were talking about it, it's a great way to get the facts to every door. I know a lot of people kind of just toss those too, but it's also, it's out there and it's a solid piece of information. You could put the 70% on one side and then how it affects the households on the other.
And send them to the website for more
Yes.
information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could the soccer moms do like a Facebook page? Or,
They could do, yeah.
Especially, yeah, they're not an entity that's
What?
appointed
I
by.
know, go ahead, go ahead,
Can an
go ahead.
individual
Anybody
go and
who's
say,
in
"Oh,
their
yes
county
for
can do
this"?
anything that they want.
I mean, you can do it.
We just can't fund it as a county, and we can't take a position as a county on yes or no.
But as an individual,
You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you
so,
want.
so an individual on this board could work the polls and hand this out as an information piece
Just like you do on election day.
and not say anything about yay or nay, but have,
Yeah, what
No.
you say, yeah.
You could
If
have
you're
it
an
say, yeah.
individual, you can,
Yeah.
as an individual, you can stand up and say, vote yes. But you can't say, Dare County says vote yes, and we can't use county resources to say vote yes, and we can't do a flyer
Right.
that says vote yes or anything like that.
I'm planning to make myself available on election day for that.
yeah.
Well, I'd say get a lot more than 6,000.
Yeah, great.
There's gonna be roughly 18,000
I'm gonna put some in
votes.
my restaurant, I'm,
2022, similar thing, US Senate election, very similar demographics on the ballot, 18,000 turnout. So you can roughly between 18,000 and 20,000 people are going to vote on this referendum.
Yeah, we'll make sure we
Yeah,
get.
we
them
estimated
printed.
that we need 10,000 votes.
I
Pardon?
tell you,
I said we
Dare County
estimated from that,
election results from
that
2000
10,000 votes is what we would need
That's right
approximately.
there. Votes cast 17,916. That was November 8th.
Yeah, that's typical average on an off election year.
Primary, that's not a general like presidential election.
But it's very important to get the educational piece out there because, yeah, if you just show up to the polls and don't know about it,
So,
It's an easy-
so do you have enough information from this board to start printing these flyers?
absolutely, yeah. It's great. And as you have time, look through the website and if there's any feedback you have to share, please send it our way.
Somewhere in here.
We'll update it. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you all, when we get the markup for whatever the next run's gonna be, maybe we'll share it with you all and say, hey, here's what we're getting ready to do.
Yep.
If you have anything, any input, then
Yep.
give it to us, and you got 2 days, and then 2 days we're having them printed. If we don't
Right.
hear from you.
And I also heard that you want us to price a direct mail. All
Yeah.
box holders,
Yeah.
mail recipients in the
If
county.
you do that before the 10th, we can talk about that on the 10th.
Right.
I can show you how to do it, Dorothy, I've done it. If you need help.
Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate all the hard work.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for the time.
Thank you for
Appreciate
support.
it.
That brings us to item 8 on the agenda, Mr. Chairman. This is an asset inventory and assessment grant resolution, and Jessica's here for that.
Good morning.
Welcome, Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here today to request approval for 3 resolutions to apply for asset inventory and assessment grants. It would be one for the Rodanthe Waves Salvo water system, one for the Cape Hatteras water system, and one for the Stumpy Point water system. The benefit of this grant is that they would assess our infrastructure and they would help us inventory it so that we can have a more proactive approach to future management of the infrastructure. So the grants are limited to a maximum of $150,000 per grant. Now, we would be required to have a 20% match per each system. The current budgets do have those funds available for the maximum match. However, the grant itself, if awarded the funds, we are not obligated to accept the funds, and we also do not have to accept the funds in the full amount awarded. And that's really all I have.
Okay. Bobby, you want to read the 3 resolutions are repetitious, but would you read the one?
Trying to get to it. All right. This is a resolution to apply for an asset inventory and assessment grant. Whereas the county of Dare will apply for funding to conduct an asset inventory and assessment for the Stumpy Point drinking water system. As you said, we'll change it for each of the 3, but this one's for Stumpy Point. Whereas the county of Dare intends to request a state loan or grant assistance for the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Dare County Board of Commissioners that the county of Dare, the applicant, will arrange financing for all remaining costs of the project if approved for a state loan or grant, that the applicant will provide a 20% match of up to a maximum of $30,000. The applicant will provide for efficient operation and maintenance of the project on completion of the construction thereof. The applicant will adopt and place into effect on or before the completion of the project a schedule of fees and charges and other available funds, which will provide adequate funds for proper operation, maintenance, and administration of the system and the repayment of all principal and interest on any debt. That the governing body of the applicant agrees to include the loan agreement provisions authorizing the state treasurer upon failure of the county to make scheduled repayment to withhold from the county any state funds that would otherwise be distributed to the local government unit in an amount sufficient to pay all sums due and payable to the state as a repayment of the loan. That Robert Alton, the county manager, Matt Matika, chief financial officer, or Jessica King, the public utility director, the authorized representatives and successors so titled are hereby authorized to execute and file an application on behalf of the applicant with the state of North Carolina for a loan and or grant to aid in the study of or construction of the project described above. That the authorized representatives and successors so titled are hereby authorized and directed to furnish such information as the appropriate state agency may request in connection with such application or project, to make the assurances as contained above, and to execute such other documents as may be required in connection with the application. That the applicant has substantially complied or will substantially comply with all federal, state, and local laws, rules, regulations, ordinances, and funding conditions applicable to the project and to the federal, state grants and loans pertaining thereto. This is the 3rd day of August, 2026.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve all 3 individual resolutions.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
This brings us to item 9 on the agenda. This, once again, is our proposed ordinance establishing the regulations for the sale of Kratom products. And she was here for that, and I think that she's made some of the changes we discussed at the last meeting, and I'll let her fill you in from there.
Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning. So there were 2 changes that were requested last month when I presented to you. And what you will find with those changes, they're in 2 different sections. The first change is in section 115.02 definitions under number 5. It's the definition to compliant Kratom product. Specifically under that item number 5, under that definition, this is where you asked for language to really go into detail about how the laboratory test, what those requirements would look like, how you can make sure that the products being sold can be traced to like a batch number or lot number. So that's language there that hopefully you feel confident satisfies that request and provides that level of detail. The only other change was, this was in response to the law enforcement piece. This is in section 11504 penalties. We needed to change the chapter of reference. The version that you saw last month was related to a public health reference. This is specifically related to the law enforcement. So it's the chapter 14.4, which would then give law enforcement the authority to act on a sanction. So, other than that, the version is what you saw last month.
Okay. Any questions of Sheila?
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman to approve as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Chair and Commissioner Kreef. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Sheila, for doing that.
Certainly, thank you. And I will just follow up to add one thing. When we adopted this as a public health rule, well, I guess it's two things I'm going to share. We had our health educators go out and do some education for the businesses. We will now do that again with the rule. And then we also will be taking the rule version of the language back to the Board of Health and Human Services at their upcoming meeting later this month to make sure the language is consistent. We need to change the original rule to match this rule. Yes, sir.
Just a curiosity question, Sheila. Do you have any idea how many different business locations are actually selling Kratom products that you would have to reach out to or train, address?
If I had
educate?
to guess, it's like 10 to 15
Okay, so
that
this
we're
is
aware
not
of.
hundreds of Kratom establishments.
No, it's not. In fact, when we did our original education, though, we used environmental health. We sent it to a much larger audience.
Right.
And then I had some businesses, like including grocery stores, that were like, wait, we don't sell these products. And
Right.
we just were doing it as education.
Okay.
They appreciate the education, but they have no desire to sell these products.
Got it.
I've only ever seen it in gas stations.
Gas station smoke shops.
Well, I don't go to those.
When will this ban take effect? Just did, okay. Because I've had several people that manage gas stations that have reached out to me and said, hey, when is this going to take effect? When you guys vote on it? When, 10 days, 30 days? So it just did. That's all I'll inform
Yeah,
them.
it's immediate.
They'll be happy to hear that because they say it's a pain to deal with.
Yeah, when will do you know, Sheila, when will the criminal stuff apply? Is there a grace period for this or is it like today, right now?
So it's hard to speak. Doug is not here, or Jeff. My understanding is, this will be complaint driven, and then they would follow up based on the complaint to investigate. I think the goal initially is education. And so my thought is their approach would be a little bit of a grace period. I think where it will be a problem is if there's repeat offenders. They know they've educated them, they know we've educated them, and they're still being willfully non-compliant. That's when I think they would take action. Does that sound appropriate, Bobby?
Sounds good to me. They have trained Galaxy to sniff out some Kratom back there. You ready?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila.
Item 10 on our agenda, Mr. Chairman, is a letter to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers concerning Rawson Channel. And Barton, if you want to come tell the board about that, please.
Welcome,
Morning.
Barton.
I think Commissioner Balance had mentioned this during her commissioner's business, probably last month. The Corps of Engineers pipeline dredged Rawson Channel, also the Hatteras Ferry Channel, and recently completed the project. They dredged those channels to approximately 12 feet, and then some of the material was placed in the open water disposal area out in the Sound. In one of those locations, it's 1,500 foot of the north of the federal channel. And so initially they placed these mounds up to 2 foot below sea level, and we had vessels impacting these mounds right as they left Rawson Channel. If you look at the map here, the bottom, you can kind of see where the federal channel ends and the placement area, the approximate location of the mounds. The Corps directed the contractor to fix it, but per their contract, they could only fix it to -5 foot mean low water. And that is still a problem. Our Waterways Commission has talked about this at the last couple meetings. That 5 foot depth is still an issue. And so this letter is to request the Corps address the mounds and bring them back to a depth of a maximum of -9 foot mean low water, just to avoid any further vessels impacting them on their way north from Hatteras to Oregon Inlet to Engelhard. The depth of the water in this area has traditionally been around 12 foot. So it's kind of unexpected for boaters to leave a federal channel that's 12 foot now that's been pipeline dredged, and then run into a mound on their way north.
Barton, is your expectation they'll say thanks for the letter and ignore it? Or do you think we'll get a response and help us get these channels deeper?
Uncertain on that. It is, their pipeline contractor is gone. He's met their 5 foot requirements. So they would likely have to bring one of their dredge plants, the Merit, to dredge that. It is outside of our dredge corridor. We do not have a permit to dredge. We have a permit to place in that area, but we do not have a permit to dredge where they placed all this material. So we cannot use our own vessel to the state and federal government. That would probably not be a very quick process with permitting, whereas the Corps can declare an emergency and address it much quicker than the months and year that it would take for us to pull a permit.
Yeah.
So, I'm just seeking approval for a letter co-signed by Chairman Woodard and our chairman, Steve Coulter, from the Waterways Commission, to be submitted to the Corps.
All right.
I'll say too that I think for the guys from the Corps that come to the meetings, us saying this kind of gives them a little bit of a argument to make that to their higher ups to say, hey, look, they're doing their thing. Can we just get this? So
And
it's
they admitted that is a problem. All future
Yes.
contracts that the Corps does, they will have a depth way deeper than 5 foot. And so in the future, it's going to be solved. The Corps is not going to do this again, but that doesn't solve the issue our boaters are experiencing right now.
Great. All right.
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance to send the letter. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Further discussion. Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Barton.
Thank you
for
all.
your work on that.
Mr. Chairman, item 11 is a proclamation for Child Support Awareness Month, and with your permission, I'll read that proclamation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas Dare County is recognizing August as Child Support Awareness Month and reaffirms its commitment to strengthening Dare County families by providing child support services to improve the economic stability and well-being of children. And whereas the state fiscal year 2025-26, more than $1.8 million in child support was collected from parents of Dare County children. And whereas there are nearly 602 child support orders in place working to ensure that children receive financial support from their parents. And whereas the court must order either parent to obtain and maintain medical health insurance coverage for a child if it is actually and currently available to the parent at a reasonable cost. And whereas Child Support Awareness Month salutes the diligent working parents who spend time with their child and who make regular child support payments to safeguard their children's future. And whereas strengthening individuals and families promotes the safety and well-being of children, provides stability, improves the lives of children, and provides opportunities for families to be able to enhance their children's futures. And whereas children who do not receive adequate financial and emotional support from their parents may experience greater difficulty in becoming healthy, happy, and productive citizens. And whereas many concerned and dedicated judges, district attorneys, clerks of court, sheriff's personnel, and child support professionals work to establish and enforce child support orders for Dare County children, one of our county's most vital resources. Now, therefore, we, the Dare County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim August 2026 as Child Support Awareness Month in Dare County and commend its observance to all citizens.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to adopt.
There's a motion on the floor by the vice chair to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, item 12 on the agenda is a reimbursement and resolution for the Manio Fieldhouse, and Matt Mattique will make that presentation.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon. So this is a housekeeping item. So we have in our CIP, and this is the Dare County School CIP, the Manio Fieldhouse project. Within the CIP, there is a funding of $1 million in borrowing for that project. And we're going to attach that funding to the debt issuance that's planned for Public Works. Now, you'll see this resolution has an up to $1.5 million, and that's because we're also working with the school through their current CIP model. And so to provide capacity in the current year's model, we might actually borrow more money for the field house. So all that this is doing is allowing us to pay ourselves back for the construction that's already started when we do that future bond issuance.
I'm looking at your associates. It's never enough, Matt.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Ross. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank
Board,
you.
Superintendent, Board Chair, Board Vice Chair, former member of the board, thank y'all for your patience this morning.
You ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that brings us to item 13, which is our consent agenda. On the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes from July the 7th. You have the tax collector's report. You have budget amendment for the libraries, a budget amendment for the water department, News Bank contract for the Dare County Library, debt book investment module contract extension, Albemarle Commission senior nutrition contract, Dare County Transportation scheduling software proposal, and the Beach Nourishment Capital Project ordinance amendment and budget amendment.
Can I ask a question about the beach?
Sure.
Is that a requirement for the beach nourishment?
Is what a requirement?
To fund the bird monitoring?
Yes,
Yep.
and the turtle monitoring.
No other question.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
By Vice Chair, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, next are your board appointments. You have the ABC Board. Field Scarborough and Jimmy Pierce both have terms that expire this month, and they both wish to be reappointed.
Motion to reappoint.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to reappoint. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Kreef. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then you have your Veterans Advisory Council. William Rees is no longer serving on the Veterans Advisory Council, and the council recommends the appointment of Barry Holt to fill his unexpired term.
Motion to appoint Barry Holt.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to appoint Mr. Holt.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then your upcoming board and committee appointments. In September, you have the Health and Human Services Advisory Board with 4 terms expiring. In October, you have the Library Board with 1 term expiring, and the Thomas A. Baum Senior Center Advisory Board with 3 terms expiring. In November, you have the Older Adult Services Advisory Council with 2 terms expiring, and you have the Working Waterman Commission with 1 term expiring. And that would be your agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to Commissioner Business, Manager Business. I would ask the County Manager if he has anything else this morning, this afternoon.
One thing, I guess it's more informational than for you to act, but on our pickleball project, which is underway over in Nags Head, we found as they were excavating, there were some unsuitable soils. When they excavated down, they had to go much deeper than anybody thought because the soil would not compact. And so they had to dig deeper and bring in additional fill. That resulted in about $192,000 increase in the cost. Now, remember, we got $300,000 or $400,000 of savings, so it's coming out of that. So it's still in the budget. But what I didn't want to get to the end and you all say, hey, you told me it was only going to be this, we got savings, and now it's this because you spent your half of the 192 to cover those unsuitable soils. And so I'm just bringing you up to speed. That is what has occurred.
$200,000 for soil?
Some dirt, man. It's expensive dirt.
Dirt.
Just so long as we have enough money for the bright neon Bob Woodard pickleball facilities.
It still, even with that, remains under what we budgeted, and the tourism board, their half split, half of that 192 is coming out of that.
I think we could have gotten by cheaper. I just received something from my good vice chairman. It blew my mind. Are you aware there are pickleball courts that are placed in the sound? They are floating pickleball courts. If we could have blown up a few inflatable, what do you call those floats that you float on in the ocean? We could have blown up. You can buy them for $1.99.
Really?
At the stores, we could have bought a couple of hundred of them, and we could have put a man on there.
There you go. Another great idea. Shot.
Yeah, they've got them in Seattle, Washington.
But it blew my mind when he sent me that and showed me their floating pickleball courts.
I'm looking at Dustin on that topic, County Manager. Do we have any estimated completion date, given the delay in the additional soils and accompanying costs? End of October. Can we write that down?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
So that's a lot of dirt replacement.
You've got an area that's 10 pickleball court. I mean,
Yeah, it's big.
It's a big area, and you're going down.
Yeah, that's a lot of dirt. Is that it?
That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Public information, Ms. Hester, do you have anything for us?
2 meetings being scheduled for Hatteras Island. I think I've made you, at least the one you know about this month, August 18th at 6 o'clock, to have a session at the Fessenden Center about the Highway 12 closure.
Right.
Basically, based on the last one, just to talk about the communication and coordination around those type imminent, I would say, where it's not expected to go through that. So 6 to 7:30 that night. And then Commissioner Balance has been working on a coyote management workshop. So we'll be at the Fessenden Center again in the evening at 6 o'clock. The date is September 10th. Again, 6 to 7, probably 6 to 8. And we're going to videotape that one so that we can use it.
Oh, good.
On the channel. But we've got those 2 things going down there.
Good deal.
Hope I didn't steal your thunder.
No, not at all. I was going to say I have an outdoor cat that a coyote got. It's a problem, but it's not a problem we can do, but people need to understand it. And so I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Our finance director, Matt, do you have anything else for us?
We would normally present our award from the GFOA at this meeting. The GFOA has been running behind in their reviews. So we talked to them last week and they're averaging 9 months. So hopefully at our September meeting, we'll have that result. So.
Good deal.
You know, they won't let us go meet with them and do anything till we get our audits in right on time. But now they're months late with what they're coming back to us with.
Right. Thank you, Matt.
Do as we say, not as we do.
That's right. Okay, that brings us to commissioner business, and I will ask Commissioner Burris if he'll kick it off.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things real quick, as it pertains to the information out there about the tax or the sales tax increase for the recreational facilities. And one point that was made about having places for these kids to go and things for them to do. I don't think that can be overstated enough, especially in Dare County, where we have seen such an opioid epidemic over the past 20 years. We've seen alcoholism ruin families in this community. We have seen people, petty crime get to where it just spirals out of control and ruins people, decades of their lives. I think you always start with the young people, and we need to make sure that we have them in mind when we make decisions like this, because their benefit is our benefit. And I want to see us make the right decision, however people feel about that once they interpret the information for themselves. But that's something that, and I work with these children. I coach in a travel basketball program, OBX United, for 3 years now. And having enough facilities is a problem. Having places for us to practice. And we're doing it in March, April, May, and June are about the 4 months we operate. And that's baseball season. That's softball season at the schools. And so we're lucky enough that we can get a little bit of gym time at the middle schools and the high schools, but it's still very limited. And that's still depending on the schools, rather than more of a public facility like a recreation facility. So I think there's definitely a need, and we need to rise up and meet the needs of our children, because they're the future. Our time has come and gone. We've moved on, and we need to make sure that they have every opportunity to succeed in life. And I think this goes a long way in doing that. And that's all I really have this month, Mr. Chairman.
Well said, Commissioner. I'm like you. Our kids are extremely important, and we need to make whatever we need to do to keep them active in sports and stuff. And I appreciate your comments on that. Thank you. Commissioner Balance.
Thank you, Chairman Woodard. I just have one quick thing I'm going to go over. Back several months ago, we went through, and Dustin, if you could come up, I want you to help me with this one. We looked at trying to expand that parking lot at the teacher housing, and the quotes for that came in a little higher than what we expected because of some grading and some retaining walls and things that were going to have to be done. And I'll let Dustin explain that. But there was another part to that, and that's the dog park. And so.
Sure. So as Commissioner Balance indicated, when we went through the study and identified the areas that we would be able to add additional parking, the overall cost of construction, stormwater management, some site work was a little beyond what we were prepared to move forward with. However, a part of that included the dog park, or the unofficial area across the street that people are using as a dog park. If we wanted to fence that in, do some minimal site work, it would allow the people that are already using a space that they could let their dog run off leash and kind of have some social environment without the fear of running in the highway or across the street or off the property. So if you all wanted to move forward with funding just the dog park, a not to exceed amount of $25,000 would get that done. And I say not to exceed because we'd like to do all the site work we could in-house to try to prevent any cost escalation beyond what is absolutely necessary if that's something you all wanted to move forward with.
So currently there is not a dog park on Hatteras Island at all. This property is, it's not a huge piece of property, but there's really nothing else you can do with it. It's got monitoring wells on it. So, and people are using it, it's kind of been designated as a dog park, but there's no fencing around it. So you can't really let your dog off the leash, but it's a perfect spot. It's right on the Buxton Back Road where they have the sidewalk. And it would just be a really nice thing for us to have at a minimal cost.
Would we fund that through contingency?
I'd like to see it down there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good.
I mean, we've funded dog parks. And I mean, we look at Roanoke Island, and I mean, that's a minuscule amount.
They haven't got one. I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to spend 25,000 to,
Up to.
do that, huh?
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
I'll second it.
And it's been seconded by the vice chair. The floor is now open for discussion.
Take me, I don't have any problem with that. The parking lot, what happened with the parking
So-
lot?
The parking lot we originally thought was going to come in around, I don't know, under 100 really, but it's come back at like close to 3.
Let me go deeper. He wants something deeper. There's a lot of soccer folks that come to that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, we were gonna expand that parking lot between that business and the current
I
parking
recall
lot.
that as well.
It's
yeah.
a deep hole in there, it's fencing in there and all that stuff, so he's saying that he's gotten some numbers in there pretty astronomical. 300 plus,
Yes, sir. It was about
300 plus.
370,000.
just to get how many parking?
It was, I think it was like 17 additional
17
parking spots,
additional
and
parking.
it would reroute how all of the current existing parking goes in, how the
What a
flow of
deal.
traffic goes in and goes
Well,
out.
which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing or something that we don't need to look at further, but I don't think it's something I didn't feel like it was something I wanted to bring forward.
20,000 per space.
Yeah.
So that is, the reason you brought it up with the dog park was to update us, and then we shifted to Part B, dog park. I was,
Well,
Trying to
Oh,
a
it was one
combination-
combined
it was a
project.
Combination of two deals.
Combined project.
so we're
Wow.
doing the combined project.
No,
No, we're doing. the
just
dog.
doing the dog park.
Okay.
Yeah.
It started with a combined project.
started with
When
a
it got
combined.
too expensive,
And-
we pulled out the parking and left the dog park, which is the
Right.
25.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
We don't have any further, we don't have any issues arising again from the tenants over there that used to park trailers and run down motorcycles and stuff.
Not to my knowledge.
We don't have any more of that.
We had our folks move all of our stuff out when we
Right.
worked with the schools to have them have the tenants move out the stuff that
Got
wasn't parking. And so
And we even had bleachers sitting in the parking lot. We moved those.
all of our parks and rec stuff, we moved out of there.
Okay, good.
So to my knowledge, I'm not saying there's probably some rundown boat sitting there right now now that I've said this, but the last time I was there, that stuff was all moved out.
Good, okay. All right, so there's, once again, there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you, and I'll be brief. That's all I have.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, well, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ross?
I will also be brief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to revisit what we started with earlier this morning. Mr. Matt Kellum, do you believe what we heard?
Yeah, that's unreal.
I cannot believe it. It was amazing, and I just want to offer one more round of congratulations to this guy. That was really above and beyond, and represents the best of all of us, frankly. So thank you, Matt. And secondly, we earlier heard from the child care nonprofit, and the board approved a subcommittee meeting which will take place this Thursday in Avon at 12:15. It will include everyone I mentioned as well as County Manager Bobby Outen. So that's moving forward. That's
Great.
all I've got.
Good deal. Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief Collins mentioned something in her presentation about us being the generation from the TV show Emergency. I'm from that generation. I started in emergency services in 1978 and had the distinct pleasure of working with James Page, who, after he retired from LA County Fire Department as a paramedic, he became the North Carolina director of OEMS. And he was actually one of the technical advisors for that TV show. And I actually got to talk to him very much about the TV show. And on a sad note, of course, Director Page passed away several years ago. The character, John Gage, the little funny, goofy guy, that was loosely based on James Page when they wrote the show. Randolph Mantooth took it upon himself to actually go through the paramedic program while they were filming the show, so he could get a better insight of his character in the show. He spent the rest of his life promoting the paramedic program throughout the entire United States. And unfortunately, last month, he passed away. So all of us from the emergency TV show generation, we mourn the loss of Randolph Mantooth, Johnny Gage. A lot of you are aware, in case you're not, we do have a dredge called Miss Katie. And this month, Miss Katie has been here for 4 years. And we have a video we've put together that shows you the highlights of what she's been able to do in the last 4 years. So please.
When the Katie came, it kind of helped it out a lot, because if it weren't for her, you would not be going out of there.
But with Miss Katie, thank God, it's definitely helping us out. Big difference. We're able to come and go.
The Miss Katie seems to have, I'm not going to say solved the problem, but their answer to the problem. You know, it does a great job. When they come in town, whatever the problem is down at the inlet, they clean it up and go on.
My name is Barton Grover. I'm the Grants and Waterways Administrator for Dare County. The Miss Katie arrived in August 2022. It is a public-private partnership. The dredge is operated by EJE Dredging under the guidance of the Oregon Inlet Task Force.
I'm Steve House, Vice Chairman of the Dare County Board of Commissioners and Chairman of the Oregon Inlet Task Force. And we hold the oversight for the Miss Katie Dredge Project. It's been a remarkable project, very first time ever in the United States. There was 2 things that we did for legislation to get this done through the state of North Carolina. Number 1 issue was that she would be based here in North Carolina and be dedicated to Oregon Inlet and Hatteras Inlet, but she could go anywhere in the state when she's allowed to, which on several occasions we've had her go to other places in North Carolina to do dredging projects that the Army Corps could not get to in a timely fashion. And number 2 on that list was a $15 million forgivable loan through the state to build Miss Katie. And with that legislation, there was a 10-year process to pay that forgivable loan back. And what that forgivable loan part is they take the rate that count that rate for the Miss Katie, and that savings pays back that forgivable loan. This year, she's been dredging for 4 years straight. That $15 million forgivable loan has been paid out.
The main purpose of the Miss Katie is to dredge navigation channels to ensure safe navigation for both mariners and the Coast Guard. Since her arrival, the Miss Katie has dredged over 3 million cubic yards. The Miss Katie can hold approximately 500 cubic yards per load and then transports that material to deep scour holes west of the bridge or offshore Pea Island. Of that 3 million cubic yards, the Miss Katie has dredged over 2 million from Oregon Inlet, approximately 275,000 from the Crack and Walter Slough adjacent to the Coast Guard station, and approximately 250,000 in Hatteras Inlet. By having the Miss Katie in Dare County, we've not only seen increased dredging, but we've also saved over $16 million compared to the federal dredging rate.
The Miss Katie is extremely important to the Wanchese Marine Industrial Park. The park has 24 businesses that are all either commercial fishing or boat building related. The park has an annual impact to the state of North Carolina of $105 million a year. So the Miss Katie helps provide safe passage to and from Wanchese and Oregon Inlet, which helps ensure that we keep these 350 to 400 jobs in the park every day. Before the Miss Katie was here, it was very sporadic. The dredging that was done was not dependable or reliable because it wasn't done as often as it needed to be done. And so as a result, the businesses here hurt. We weren't seeing as many commercial fishing boats coming into the Wanchese facility, or the boat building industry was having trouble getting boats back here to be worked on or repaired when that needed to be done. So the Miss Katie is vital to the stability and success of the Wanchese Marine Industrial Park.
The Miss Katie is the quickest to the job and get the job done quicker.
So that's our update on what Miss Katie has been able to do in the 4 years she's been here. That's quite a few cubic yards dredged out of these inlets, and she's doing a phenomenal job. And I want to share one more video with you today. The favorite part of any Dare County Commissioner meeting, Pet of the Week.
Our pet of the week this week is Proby. Meet Proby. This handsome guy is about 2.5 years old. He was previously adopted from our care, but sadly was returned because his family did not have enough time for him. Proby loves playtime, especially a good game of fetch. He has done great with other dogs and would thrive in an outgoing home. To adopt Proby or foster one of our other animals, come visit us Monday through Friday at our shelter located in Manio. For more information, visit our website at obxspca.org or visit our OBXSPCA Facebook page.
So please run down to the OBX SPCA, check out Proby and all the other animals they have there, and give someone their forever home. Thank you very much, Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I just have to comment about Miss Katie and all the amount of dredging and stuff that they've been able to do. We look back on all the hours and phone calls and meetings and problems that we had keeping our inlets open and just getting the Corps to come in and help us. And, you know, I fall back on the fact that they said the inlets were only open 33% of the time. And now that we've been able to have this public-private partnership is just unbelievable, the difference it's made. And who knows how many commercial fishermen we would have today if we'd had this years ago, and how many processing centers we'd have if we'd have been able to do this years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Since Miss Katie has been here, Oregon Inlet has been closed 0 times.
Right. It's incredible, unbelievable. So, Commissioner Bateman.
Yes, sir. And Steve, thank you for all your work on it, and as well as Commissioner Tobin. You know,
Yeah.
Worked really hard
Yeah.
for that thing. Yeah, Commissioner Bateman, I had opportunity to do the opening. Yeah, it is me. This has been a rough summer, y'all. Goodness gracious. Gosh. With all I got going on this past month, whatever, I did the opening remarks for the Carolina basketball team.
Oh,
UNC.
great. Good. Great.
I was standing up and I looked, these guys are like 7 foot blah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like unbelievable how tall when you're standing beside one of those guys. It's enormous. And then last night we had the coach in the restaurant, very interesting guy. He was even the coach of the Denver Nuggets and when they won the national championship.
So this is an NBA team that was at your restaurant?
No, this is Carolina Tar Heels.
Carolina Tar Heels.
Carolina Tar Heels.
And then last night I had the coach in the restaurant, and he used to be an NBA coach. Super nice guy, great family. I think his daughter plays volleyball for Carolina. Just super nice, good time with those guys. Enjoyed it. I also had the opportunity to go for the opening, the dedication for the park. Chairman Wood would give opening remarks for Bobby Owens, and that was a good turnout there for somebody who really done a lot for Dare County. And I got a lot of inspiration from that guy because his philosophy was, you know, he said, I ride down the road, he said, and I can look and say, you know what, I had something to do with that, or I had something to do with that. And he never told anybody. It was always between him and himself of what he did. And I think that's truly a public servant, you know, no credit, nobody, just take and do it. And that's the kind of guy he was. So I enjoyed going to that. The other thing I had was the, so ditches in Dare County. Department of Transportation cleans them. How do we get a ditch on a list for them to possibly go and clean?
We just ask them if is it their ditch is the first question.
It's in Dare County. And I got some calls.
No matter if it's in Dare County. DOT has ditches that are aligned with their roads, and their ditches are designed to take the water that runs off the road and hold it until it is absorbed in the ground. They do not have a ditching system that runs to the sound to take stormwater from other places to move it to the sound, although stormwater from other places ultimately runs in their ditches. And so it has to be a DOT ditch. There are numerous ditches in Dare County that are not DOT ditches. their ditches and how they got there, whose they are or whatever. I can't tell you that.
We're gonna get to the bottom of these damn ditches.
Yeah.
The ditch I'm talking about, and ditches I'm talking about.
So if it's a
are back
DOT
behind-
ditch, we just ask.
Behind Ace Hardware back in Good Luck. All those people back there, all the yards are flooded and so forth because it's a low-lying area anyway. And of course, we have a torrential rain for 6-7 inches.
Again,
But they haven't been cleaned out in a long, long time.
I can certainly ask DOT to take a look at that.
Okay. All right. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Creef.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on what Irvin said a little bit. It's not just even down there, it's the whole north end of Manio and even southern parts of Nags Head where we're having these major flooding issues due to rain events. Obviously, we had an extraordinary amount of rain there in about a 2-week time period. Can't do nothing about that, but the ditches are in bad shape. So back in the day in Wanchese, they had a similar issue and they came up with their own ditch commission. They had their own and even though it's not a town, unincorporated Wanchese had a ditch commission, and Lish Meekins went down with equipment and they went through and they cleaned out every single ditch in Wanchese. And maybe we need to look into organizing something like that in some of these unaffiliated places in North End of Manio and Town of Nags Head. I mean, they're on their own on that. They need to get their own equipment out there to take care of that. But I would like to see our ditches cleaned up a little bit better at some of these places. And if that's the route we got to go, where we need to put a citizen kind of deal together and figure out how to raise money for it, then that's what we need to do. But I'd be certainly willing to help with any of that. Other than that,
Can I speak to that? while
Sure.
we're talking about real quick? So counties don't have any roads or any ditches. And so if somebody says it's a county ditch, it's not. There's
No, I know that.
There's none of that. So if a community, and you pick whatever, Wanchese, wherever you're picking.
because they did it.
If they want to do that, then you can create a service district like we do for beach nourishment, and those people can pay a tax into a fund for that purpose. And I think stormwater management is one of the listed purposes in the statute to fund that. And that's how we would be involved. If they're just going to do it on their own like they did in Wanchese, then they got together. We really didn't have any involvement in that other
No.
than, and so they can certainly do that as well. And they got to worry about easements if they're worried about that, and placement of the dirt and all those things that we would have to worry about. They probably didn't worry about. They probably agreed they're just going to do it and did it.
Well, it's a lot easier in Wanchese than it would be in some of these other places because everybody knows.
So
who their
those are our
neighbor is.
choices. And for us to do a service district, normally what we would ask is we would ask for a significant part of the community to come forward and say, this is what we want to do, because we're getting ready to tax them for that. So before we tax them, we'd want to hear from them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would just say we need to look into something because I don't think that people in these areas would be opposed to that rather than having their entire property flooded. I mean,
Well, except that even if now, one thing that we found out on the north end, we did do a study up there, and we spent some money trying to solve those problems. And as I said, almost all the ditches aren't designed to drain into the sound. They're designed to retain water and let it do. And they're designed, there's a state stormwater standard, and I don't remember what it is, but they're designed to that state stormwater standard. Well, when we get 7 inches of rain in 2 days and 17 inches of rain in a week, there's no system that's designed to deal with that. And there's no system that we could build that could handle that much water because we're only a foot or so above sea level. And so some problems could be solved. Others, at that level of rain, we can't solve when they're going to be flooded. So I don't know
there's
where the
always
balance
gonna be
is.
issues. But I mean,
Yeah.
when you see the Facebook videos of all these ditches clogged up, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. All right.
Anything else?
Well, we're wrapping up the summer and, hope everybody did okay. I know I've been working about 80 hours a week. I don't know about everybody else, but I'll be glad come October. Speaking on the coyotes, coyote season opens up for trapping regulations October 1st. So from October 1st until the end of February, you'll be allowed to legally trap and harvest coyotes with a licensed trapper. So that could solve some of your issues here in a couple months, and certainly places like Hatteras Island where these people are having their pets and everything else taken off by a what I think of as a invasionary species that doesn't belong on our islands here. And with that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else have anything else? With that being said, we need a motion to adjourn till September.
How about August?
I mean, this is August.
August 10th.
August 10th. I mean, huh?
We have a special meeting.
Oh, that's right. Well, I take that back. We are meeting special August 10th. Sorry about that. August 10th.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Balance made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.